More injury updates, ladies and gentlemen. Good news, bad news. Good news is Deshaun Watson will be playing this week. Okay, so if Deshaun Watson is playing, I think that we can confidently play Amari Cooper. Now, do I expect Amari to be that high-end wide receiver 2, low-end wide receiver 1, as you would usually expect? Probably not. In reality, you probably still need to be a little bit hesitant when it comes to Amari, but he's still probably a low-end wide receiver 2, mid-wide receiver 2, especially if you're looking at this week, right? I mean, if you're going to look at the week where we have a million buys, a million injuries, if Amari's playing with Watson, you will play Amari. The bad news is we will have no Daniel Jones. I mean, that was kind of expected, right? So no big surprise there. Another note, we have the Raiders coming out saying that they're not trading Devontae Adams. I don't really care. I mean, it doesn't matter if a team says, oh, he will not be traded or, oh, he will be traded. It is what it is. Jimmy Garoppolo, out week 7, but expected back week 8. So if he's going to be back week 8, maybe you're not excited about Jacoby Myers today or tomorrow, but week 8, we can be excited about Myers. Now, CMC is still questionable. Christian McCaffrey did get into practice today for the first time all week. We will hope that something comes out tomorrow morning so we get some more clarity about this situation overall in San Francisco. I would say if CMC plays, doesn't matter if he'll be limited or not, you're going to have to go through and you will have to play him. If CMC misses, it's like, oh, okay, well, do we want Jordan Mason? Do we want Elijah Mitchell? I don't really know. So if we don't have that clarity by the time we have to make that decision, I would say probably don't want to be going with either player, to be honest with you. But I think that should be about it, ladies and gentlemen. Let me go ahead and begin to pull this stuff up for questions. And as I do this, if you have not done so already, please go down there. Drop a like on this live stream. Subscribe to the channel if you play fantasy football. And if you wanted to check out any of those pick'ems over on Underdog Fantasy, now is by far and away the best time to get on Underdog because you are going to be getting a Lamar Jackson special pick'em, more than less than half a total yard, plus a LeBron James special pick'em, more than less than half a total point. And if I can get this up for y'all, because so many people used promo code FLOCK last week on Underdog Fantasy, Underdog is also hooking y'all up with an Amon-Ra St. Brown special pick'em, more than less than half a total yard for Amon-Ra St. Brown next week. Literally never seen anything like this before, so please make sure you are taking advantage. So if you are already on Underdog, you should have 2 special pick'ems as long as you use code FLOCK. Doesn't matter if you did it 2 years ago. You'll get the LeBron one and the Amon-Ra St. Brown one. If you are new to Underdog, you'll get both those, only if you use code FLOCK. But then on top of that, the Lamar Jackson special pick'em for tomorrow as well. But let's swing this around. Our first question coming out from Marcos, who says, 12-team half PPR, we're going to flex a Foreman or Addison. Half PPR format, a little bit less inclined to go with the receiver. Half PPR league as well. I would say that we're probably not in love with the touchdown upside against the 49ers for Jordan Addison. So I honestly kind of want to tell you to go Deonta Foreman. I think Foreman has a higher floor and you have a higher ceiling from Addison. Just a tough matchup for Addison. RJ says JSN or Deontay Johnson. So we do not have news on if DK Metcalf, if Tyler Lockett will be playing tomorrow. I'm operating under the assumption that we will be getting Tyler Lockett at the minimum and DK Metcalf will most likely play. We just don't know for sure right now. But regardless, I'm not playing JSN. Is a guy we were buying low on over the past 2 weeks. But even though I'm rooting for him to do well this week, still, I'd rather actually see the breakout before we have to believe it. Produced by Bayad says, trade Wan'Dale for DeAndre. I have drafted, or this offseason, I drafted so much Wan'Dale Robinson on Underdog Fantasy that your boy will be rich as hell if Wan'Dale turns out to be like a high-end wide receiver too. But with that being said, I mean, come on, we got to take DeAndre Hopkins there. Zachary says, Pickens and Logan Thomas for Waddle. Logan Thomas equivalent to a lot of other waiver wire tight ends. Easily give me Jalen Waddle. Vader says KJ Osborne, Rashee Rice, or Jamison Williams rest of season. I think a lot of people would say Rashee Rice here with how effective he's been on a per route run perspective. But personally, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to take Jamison Williams. Brandon says 8-team PBR 4-2. Start sit suggestions for week 7. Gino, Kamara, Cook, Diggs, Olave, Waller, Flowers. And then on the bench, Stevenson, Madison, Kirk Cousins, everyone else on bye. So if there would be a player on the bench that I'd want to get in this starting lineup, probably would be Alexander Madison. And that with Madison was super concerned about what we had, right? In terms of a few weeks back, you actually had him splitting this backfield with Cam Akers. But since then, that has actually changed. Since then, you've actually had an expansion of the role for Alexander Madison, where Akers only played 9 snaps last week. Now, would I play Alexander Madison over James Cook? Would I play Alexander Madison over Zay Flowers? Honestly, possibly. If you wanted to go James Cook over Madison, though, with no Damian Harris, I wouldn't fault you at all. It really just does come down to, do we want Madison or do we want James Cook there? And can everybody please do me a favor and go to the live chat real quick? Spam the chat. What would you rather do? Would you rather start James Cook or Alexander Madison? James Cook or Alexander Madison, please let me know. And as we wait for you, Justice says 6-0 PBR league, where we have Hurts, Walker, Robinson, Tyreek, Amon-Ra, TJ Lamb. Just lost Kyren Williams, struggling at running back. What we should do? Appreciate you, Mason. Appreciate you, my friend. 6-0 roster, losing Kyren, not the end of the world. We still have the running back depth here. If anything, I would say that if you have wide receiver depth, I would probably look to go ahead and see if we can take a depth wide receiver and go and trade him for Justin Jefferson. Maybe like if you wanted to send CeeDee Lamb and go get Justin Jefferson, that could be a viable move. Strictly because we are 6-0, we're thinking a little more long-term. It's a little less appealing, though, obviously, when we're losing out on Kyren Williams. Now, it looks like everybody in the chat is saying James Cook over Alexander Madison. So if that's the case, I think that we are going to go ahead and we are going to listen to the chat. Looks like, I don't know if we saw a single person out there saying Alexander Madison. Yeah, so I guess we'll go James Cook relatively easily there. Now, B. Jordan says, need my second flex between Bourne or Jalen Warren. I'm going to go Jalen Warren over Kendrick Bourne. Just horrendous game, horrendous matchup, horrendous offense for the New England Patriots. So yeah, I mean, I'm just going to be benching every Patriot that I have if I can. Now, John says, thoughts on these trades? It's a 12-team PPR. We traded Mostert for Dak, Higbee, Dak and Higbee. Bad deal, my friend. Superflex league, I like it. One quarterback format, horrendous. Even if you have Jeff Wilson Jr. coming back, even if we have Devon Achane in a few weeks, Reed Mostert, a running back that we can confidently start as an RB1, whereas Higbee, equivalent to a waiver wire tight ends, Dak, equivalent to a streaming QB. Kyren for Purdy and Kyren for Purdy. Superflex, give me Purdy. One quarterback, give me Kyren. Then Hopkins for Christian Watson. I will take Christian Watson there, my friend. Really hope that those were Superflex leagues, though. Now, Zachary coming out saying, 10-team, happy BR 3-3. We have Hurts, Stroud, Gibbs, Hall, Bijan, Henry, Nico, Evans, Smith, Myers, Pickens, Kelsey, Thomas. Should we upgrade wide receiver? And if so, for what? Happy BR format, we're a little more inclined to go ahead and build around the running back position. I would say a couple different things that we could look to do. One, you could go through and you could just cut Logan Thomas, pick up another wide receiver off waivers that you think has the highest ceiling and could turn into something later on. We have Kelsey. We don't need Logan Thomas. And I'd say two, if you wanted to see if we could sell Nico Collins and CJ Stroud, sell that package to get a better wide receiver for the starting lineup. That could also be interesting if we have Jalen Hurts here. YNG says 10-team full BBR where we have Hurts, Kupp, Waddle, Stevenson, Ford, Laporta, St. Brown at the flex. We're 2-4. Any suggestions on the team? Elite tight end, elite quarterback, elite receivers. I mean, obviously the main concern that we have with this roster would be running back. In terms of making trades, don't necessarily want to be going after too many right now. What I would just say is you probably want to be rostering as many running backs as you possibly can. Let's not roster a backup quarterback. Let's not roster a backup tight end. Roster as many of those running backs off the waiver wire as you can. That way we can try to find the next Kyron Williams. And I mean, I would definitely want this team to have like a bunch of guys that look like Darrell Henderson down there on the bench, right? Now, Henry says, PBR double flex. We have Warren, Judy, Reynolds, and Rondale Moore. We are going to go ahead and take Jalen Warren. And with Craig Reynolds not being fully clear to go by this point, even if he does play, I think he is going to be in a bad matchup. I think that he is going to be at a spot where it's difficult to see him having much work as a receiver with Gibbs in this offense. So for that reason, I'd probably go Jerry Jeudy if it's a PPR format, Craig Reynolds if it's a non-PPR. Rob says full PPR pick 2, Javonte, JSN, Rice, Dobbs, and Foreman. Foreman, must-start player in this range. Probably Javonte as well. Just take the running backs with the guaranteed volume. Elijah says we have to flex Downs, JSN, or Elijah Moore. Elijah Moore, not startable. Josh Downs, horrible matchup. So we will go with Jackson Smith and Jigba here with the other wide receivers in Seattle banged up. Joshua says start Jerome Ford or Brian Robinson. If Kareem Hunt misses, we will play Jerome Ford. If Kareem Hunt plays, we're going to go Brian Robinson. Especially if you have no Daniel Jones. So, I mean, you should have Washington be able to run the ball in the second half. Roggy says, heavy at receiver, my Diggs Bijan for Jefferson, Walker, Hollywood. So, Diggs to Jefferson and Hollywood, give me Diggs. Bijan to Walker, give me Bijan. So, yeah, I would keep Diggs and Bijan Robinson here, my friend. Samuel says, should we trade Kamara and Amon-Ra St. Brown for Jefferson? I'm 5-1, where we have CMC, Barkley, Brown, Pittman, Moore, HN, PBR League. Thanks, man. No, thank you so much. Really do like the idea overall, but I would say, I mean, hell, Amon-Ra St. Brown has very, very similar value right now to Justin Jefferson in his own right. Adding in Alvin Kamara to him is definitely too much, even though on this team, obviously you could afford to trade for Jefferson. You just need a bigger discount. Jake says 5-1, 10 TBBR. Got offered Eckler and Lamb for Pacheco and Jefferson. We have Jacobs, Pacheco, Tyreek, Amari, Kelsey, Stevenson, Higgins, Rice, Sanders, JSN. Jefferson versus Eckler, give me Eckler. Pacheco versus Lamb, give me Lamb. So typically I'd say 5-1 roster. We can afford to think long term. Let's go through and let's just heavily load up on guys that look like Justin Jefferson. Maybe discounted players now that will be elite down the stretch. But no, if we can just pivot off to Eckler and Lamb, that's a great move. Mike says, 8-team at BBR. Do we start Brian Robinson or Jonathan Taylor? Taylor does have a very tough matchup going up against Cleveland. If you look at my rankings with Taylor, Brian Robinson, I have them at 26, 27 in our flex rankings this week. Literally, it's a coin flip. It's up to you. I will say maybe we can use it as a tiebreaker if you have no Daniel Jones to give the slight bump to Brian Robinson. Aaron says PBR 4-2. Got offered Bijan and Myers for Chase, Madison, JSN. So JSN to Myers, I don't want to say much. I honestly think that they're close enough to take him out of the deal. Chase and Madison versus Bijan Robinson. I'm probably going to go Chase and Madison. I play the other owner this week. He needs it now. Counter with Addison instead of Myers, thinking long-term to keep Myers. I think long-term, I may rather have Addison. So, I think we would go with the Chase, Madison, JSN side. The only hesitation that I have is if we're playing the guy this week, it would kind of be nice to send him over Chase. That way he didn't have one of these players good to go. I think we can use that as like a, I don't want to say a tiebreaker, but would be an interesting move to go out and say, hey, yeah, you take this 0 this week, my friend. Yeah, you can have that 0. Legend says trying so hard to move Devonta Smith. My man Smith will be just fine. Nobody wants him. Hold on to him. Don't sell him for pennies on the dollar. Miles says DK, Myers, Rice, JSN, Dobbs, start 3. We're going to go with DK, Myers, and then here's what we're going to do. We're planning on going Myers for damn sure, a Seattle wide receiver for sure, and then a Rashee Rice. If that Seattle receiver is DK Metcalf, then it's DK Metcalf. If it's JSN, then it's JSN. Luke says 12-team PPR. I'm 1-5 right now. What should we look to do? We have Purdy, JT, White, Smith, Diggs, Pitts, Flowers, Stafford, Gus, Hunt, Thielen, and Michael Mayer. We don't really have a lot of value on this team, to be completely honest with you, my man. I mean, I would say that we're probably kind of stuck as is for the time being. In terms of changing the starting lineup around, I would personally start Matthew Stafford this week over Brock Purdy, given Stafford having Kupp and Puka both good to go. And you have a million injuries, of course, whenever we are looking at the 49ers. Laker Niners says 12-team, have BBR single flex. We're going to go Hunt, Wilson, Pickens, Downs, Jameson. Pickens will be less exciting for me now that we are in a spot where Deontay's coming back in. But in this range, I still probably go ahead and play George Pickens. Vader says 4-2, 10-team non-PPR. We have Lamar, Bijan, Barkley, JT, Higgins, Zay, Goddard, JSN, Moss, Spears, Mitchell, Hubbard, Jameson. Any moves? Thanks. So thank you, my friend. Non-PPR format. We're wanting to build around running back. We're somehow 4-2 despite the injuries that we had to both Jonathan Taylor and Saquon Barkley. Wide receivers a little bit questionable. In the long term, it looks like it will continue to get better. If this was a full BBR league, I would say, you know what? We probably want to go through and see if we can swing Saquon for a stud receiver and just balance out the roster a bit. But honestly, in a non-BBR format, you have the team kind of exactly how I'd want it. So I think we're going to keep as is. Kevin Effett coming out, always happy to see us, says 12-team non-BBR single flex, 4-2. We have Stafford, CMC, Bijan, Brees, Javonte, Singletary, Roshan, Amonra, Smith, Addison, Jason, Zay. Traded London for Goddard. Now what? Non-BBR format, similar to the team prior. We're looking to build around running back, which we've done with CMC, Bijan, Brees. Similar to the team prior, we have a long-term upside of wide receiver, but maybe not too much right this second. So I'm very sorry to give you this answer, my man. This is another 4-2 team, non-BBR league, where we're built around 3 bell cow backs. I think we kind of leave this team as is. I wish I had something. I wish I had a big move that I could go through and give you. But in reality, I think you're just chilling. Noah says, in a terrible spot, start Trey Palmer or Trey McBride. Dear God. Let me pull this up. Trying to see how many targets Palmer's had. I know he had the receiving touchdown. He's had 2 receiving touchdowns this season off of 16 targets. 7 targets last week. Trey McBride really didn't get involved until this past week for Arizona. He had 5 targets comparison. We're always going to go with the wide receiver. I think we are going to go with Trey Palmer if he is good to go, my friend. Let's move this around. Black Juice is happy to see us. Says, what's up, my guy? Need a flex between Amari and his number 1 target share and Christian Watson in a nice matchup. Need a win this week. It is interesting now that we have Deshaun Watson good to go. If you were looking at how I had these rankings coming into today, I had Amari Cooper at 35, Christian Watson at 34 in our flex rankings. I think that now we have a healthy Deshaun Watson. I'm willing to give that bump up to Amari Cooper, and I think ultimately we go with Amari here, my friend. The Eddie says more Pittman in the flex, who has more upside. I would say Michael Pittman has more upside in potentially overcoming a bad matchup than DJ Moore does overcoming a horrendous offense. Hayden says 4-2, start a receiver, 2 flex. Godwin, Watson, Palmer, KJ, James Cook, Brian Robinson. We're going to go Brian Robinson for the flex with James Cook. And then for the wide receiver slot, I think we're actually probably going to end up taking Christian Watson. Then we're going to go Watson and then both running backs. I'm going to give that bump up to James Cook, even if it looks like he's been losing his job because you have no Damian Harris in this offense. Now, Card Chisel says 3-3 PBR2 trades. 1 Jefferson for Achane. Give me Jefferson. I mean, with Jefferson, I know for a damn fact when he comes back, he'll be a wide receiver 1. Achane will be a little bit more volume dependent. And then Pittman Pierce for Garrett Wilson. Honestly, I do think that is just ultimately going to be up to you, my friend. Saying current running backs are Walker, Pollard, Gibbs, Pierce. Current receivers are Ayuk, Watson, Nico, Pittman. Yeah, give me Jefferson over Achane. And then Pittman Pierce versus Garrett Wilson. I do think comes down to your personal preference. Vader says 2-4 10 TPPR, where we have Hurts, Etienne, Ramondre, AJ Lamb, Brees, London, Kittle, Javonte Sanders, JSN, Charbonnet, Spears, Roschon. Any moves? Thanks. Thank you as always, my man. You know I'm happy to see you. Full BBR format, going to be a little less inclined to build around those running backs. And here we have AJ Brown, CeeDee Lamb at wide receiver. Great spot to start. We have the elite level quarterback as well. We have Etienne and Brees performing as top level RBs. We have some depth down there on the bench. So honestly, pretty strong team. The only thing I would say is Javonte Williams for me is potentially going to be that sell-high guy as a running back that, I mean, yeah, maybe the starter in Denver, but still looks like he's in a 3-man running back by committee in the worst offense or one of the worst offenses in the NFL. So if I could go through and possibly pivot off of Javonte, maybe in a package with a receiver like Drake London and go get an upgrade, we would do that. Steven says, should we trade Mixon and Wandale for Jefferson? Current receivers are London, Adams, Hollywood, and Drake London. If you are 1-5, I want the Mixon and Waddle side. If you are 5-1, I want the Jefferson side. So it really does depend on your team. Momo says 12-team BBR double flex 5-1, where we have Tua, Ayuk, Hill, Kamara, Swift, Kmet, Rashad White, Wandale, and then on the bench we have Brees, Lamb, Dell, Purdy, Michael Mayer. Any suggestions? Starting lineup looks real tough right now, but honestly, long-term, I think that you'll be in a fine spot. The only thing I would say is we could potentially do is if you could get any value whatsoever for Brock Purdy, I'd probably sell him. Obviously, who knows if you would be able to get anything for him. We're dealing with the Lamb buy. We're dealing with the Hall buy. We're dealing with the Dell buy. I think once we get these guys back, we'll be in a much better spot. If you wanted to go through and see if we could sell CeeDee Lamb for Justin Jefferson on a 5-1 team, I think that could potentially be interesting. Okay. Now, next question coming out from Coochie Man says, start 2, Downs, Jameson, and McKinnon. I'm going to be going with the receivers in Downs and Jameson. Joe Sue, happy to see us, says 4-2, 12-team BBR single flex. Baker, JT, Bijan, Diggs, Smith, Hogginson, Myers, Lockett, Nico, Foreman, Moss, Roschon, Fields. Mahomes and Hollywood for Mayfield and Diggs. What are your thoughts? Super flex format. I think we are going to want to go ahead and take Mahomes. Mahomes definitely best player in the deal. One quarterback format. I think that we are for sure going to want to go ahead and take Stephon Diggs. If we have Baker, especially if we have Justin Fields, right? As we can play Baker for the short term and then hopefully capture the long-term upside of Fields. Chris says, should we trade Pollard and Devontae Adams for Tyreek and Ramondre Stevenson? Give me Tyreek over Pollard. Give me Adams over Ramondre. I think it's a fair deal. I think it's up to you. Typically, I'll just go with the best player, so Tyreek, but I think it's close enough. Say up to you. Now, Jameson coming out saying 12-team BBR single flex spot. We have Burrow, JT, Ramondre, Roschon, Chase, Diggs, Waddle, Flowers, Hawkinson. Got offered Bijan for Diggs straight up. So single flex league, typically I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to be giving the bump up to the RBs. We have Ramondre Stevenson currently as our RB2. So, I mean, we need some help at running back, whereas we are extremely strong at wide receiver. So I'm going to let you know right now, most people would prefer Stephon Diggs here, but given this team, given this format, I personally would just go ahead and take Bijan, but I am very biased. Tristan says 3-3, happy BR 10-team league. We have Herbert, Smith, Puka, Eckler, Mostert, Musgrave, Stevenson, Myers, Hall, Hardman, Deontay, Achane. Any moves? First thing is you're going to go ahead. You're going to cut McCole Hardman, my friend. With McCole Hardman, we've seen him pretty much every single year since 2019 with the Chiefs. And what has he done? Nothing. 2019, nothing. 2020, nothing. 2021, nothing. 2022, nothing. So why do we think 2023 is going to be all of a sudden different when the team that just wanted him, just had him, said, nope, we don't care. Let's ship him out. So I personally would say cut Hardman, find another player that's interesting off waivers like Darrell Henderson, see if he would be the guy. And then in terms of trades, I don't necessarily see anything. Just please be, consistent in starting Devonta Smith. Do not panic with Smith here. Scott says, full BBR start Warren or Javonte. If you look at my flex rankings, I have Javonte at 49 and Warren at 50. So I have Javonte by one slot. And then Judy or Dobbs. I will go Judy even if it's disgusting. I just don't necessarily want to go through and be playing Romeo Dobbs when you have Christian Watson good to go. Saram, always happy to see us, says, who are we starting? Single flex. Javonte, Hunt, Gainwell, Gibson. At running back here, I think that we're going to be forced to go with Javonte. Hunt, if he's good to go, it's nice that Gainwell plays on Sunday night. So if Hunt doesn't play, we can pivot to Gainwell. And then wide receiver, we're going to go A.J. Brown and Gabe Davis. And then for the flex, we are going to go with Jackson, Smith, and Jigba, my friend. And yes, I will go JSN over Romeo Dobbs now that we have both Metcalf and Lockett banged up in this offense. Now, Sam says, PBR, which one? Sam Howell or Deshaun Watson? And then Jalen Warren or Rashee Rice. We're going to go Warren over Rashee. I love Rice. We'll make a lot of money if he's good this year, but he just needs to be running more routes. And then Howell or Watson, I'm going to go with Watson. I don't know. I just can't bring myself to start Sam Howell. Now, Will says, standard scoring 10-team league. Love or Howell? I'm going to go with Jordan Love. Great matchup against Denver. White, Stevenson, or Jeff Wilson Jr. Can't wait to get HN back. Can't blame you, my friend. We will go ahead. We will take Rachaad White. We'll just start the running back that we know what we can expect. We know what the workload will be like, even if he's not in a great offense, of course. Now, Bacon coming out saying full BBR, Nico, Higgins on bye, starting Zay and Rashee Rice, tight ends Hawkinson. For the flex, we have Laporta. Got offered Mike Evans for Laporta. Should we take it? I for sure think that we need to be trading a tight end if we have both TJ Hawkinson and Sam Laporta. I personally would be looking to sell Laporta before Hawkinson, but I'm going to be asking for definitely more than Mike Evans here, my friend. Okay. Now, Michael coming out with our next question. Says 10-team happy BR 4-1. We have Hurts, CMC, Jaleel, Brees, Waddle, London, Thielen, Collins, Hawkinson, Deontay. Any moves? We have the elite quarterback. We have the elite tight ends. We have wide receiver depth coming back in with Deontay Johnson. We have a questionable running back 2 here. The only thing that I would say is if we could sell Adam Thielen and go get a running back 2 that you feel very comfortable about, that would potentially be something we look for. When we have that much wide receiver depth in a 10-team Happy BR league. Joshua says, I'm 6-0 in a 12-team Happy BR format. I'm being offered the Eagles D, Pacheco, for the Cleveland defense and Mixon. Do I accept? Rather have Cleveland's defense over the Eagles, especially this week. Pacheco, Mixon, honestly, is very close. Up to you. I think the Cincinnati Bengals offense is better coming out of the bye with a healthier Joe Burrow. So I personally probably go with the Joe Mixon side, but ultimately I do think that it's your personal preference and up to you here. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we are less than 5 likes away from hitting 200 likes on this live stream. Please, if you have not done so already, go down there, drop a like on the stream for us. Y'all know Saturday and Sunday streams are by far and away the most important streams for us every single week. We have a live stream for 176 days in a row at this point. Subscribe to the channel if you play fantasy football. And if you wanted to check out any of these pick'ems over on Underdog Fantasy, you can find that link in the live chat in the description in the comment section. Promo code FLOCK, you are going to get a 100% deposit match plus our rest of season fantasy football rankings and tiers. And now is by far and away the best time to get on Underdog Fantasy because they have a Lamar Jackson special pick'em, more than less than half a total yard if you are new to Underdog. And on top of that, a site-wide special pick'em, more than less than half a total points for LeBron James for NBA tip-off. And because we had so many people sign up with promo code FLOCK last week, we actually have an Amon-Ra St. Brown exclusive special pick'em only for people who use code FLOCK. Doesn't matter if that was 2 years ago, last year, yesterday, today, tomorrow. Use promo code FLOCK. Gonna get all three of those. Super excited that we were able to get all that. Literally, that stuff never happens. So please make sure you are taking advantage while you can. Now, Jeep Guy coming out saying, just traded Higgins for Ayuk to the team that I'm playing against this week, which is the perfect. My man, big brain moves here. All right. So I would say Ayuk over Higgins for me rest of season, but they're closer than a lot of people would give them credit for. But if we can go get Ayuk when he's going to blow up with no Debo, when our opponent was about to play him, and go toss a player that's on bye to their team, makes a ton of sense. Unwanted Hero coming out saying, 12 team, happy BR single flex. Allen, JT, Kamara, Chase, Watson, Joku, Hubbard. Just traded JT and Chase for Amon-Ra and Eckler. Who would he target the flex 4 and 2? So give me Eckler over Chase. Give me Amon-Ra over JT. I do think that makes sense here. So we're going to be starting at running back, Kamara and Eckler. Wide receiver, we're going to be going with Amon-Ra and Christian Watson. And then for the flex, I just simply don't know who's on our bench, my man. The only guy you gave me was Shoot Hubbard here is on bye. So I don't know what you mean who to target at the flex. I'm not trading to fill in a bye week flex for just this week. That you're asking for a trade. Sim says, I drafted Bijan, JT, Achan. I'm going to trade one, which is the best to sell. JT, I can't sell. JT just simply does not have a lot of value right now. I'm telling you right now, from what I've seen in these live streams, there aren't too many people wanting to go out there and get Jonathan Taylor. I would say the one sell would be Devon Achan if you are not in a position where we are almost guaranteed to make the playoffs later in the season. If you are, say, 1-5, 2-4, then you probably want to go ahead and look to move off of Devon Achan. Jerome says, full BBR start Amari or Jonathan Taylor in the flex. Thanks. So thank you, my friend. I personally am going to go ahead and take JT, even though it is a tough matchup. It is actually no. Now we will, because I don't know the availability. I don't know really how good Deshaun Watson will be this week with the shoulder. Jonas says, looking to trade away Derrick Henry. Who should we go for? My other running backs are Mixon and Fort. You're not going to get a lot. I mean, if you could go for Barkley, let's do it. If you wanted to pivot off to Pacheco, you can as well. You just have no shot to get a Jacobs, a Walker, Eckler. Like, not too many people are excited to go out there and trade for Derrick Henry at the moment. So she says 12 team, happy BR 1-5. We have Allen, Kyler, Cook, Jones, Kyron, Roshan, Evans, Chase, Flowers, Davis, Judy, Williams, Thomas. Any moves? Possible trade Chase and Jones for Walker and Smith. Okay. 1-5. We need points right now. Going from Aaron Jones to Devonta Smith. Up to you and your team. Chase to Kenneth Walker. I'm going to go with the Chase and Jones side here. Like, if you are looking at what we'd possibly want to do with this team, I would rather see if we could get any upgrade in the starting lineup right now by selling Kyler Murray. Like, I understand maybe you're 1-5 thing, and Mason, I need a win right now. Jamar Chase is on bye. You're going to have to deal with the Devonta Smith bye later in the season, right? So it's kind of like the same thing. Colin says traded Burrow and Kyron for Herbert and Kirk. Burrow to Herbert, lateral move in my mind. I think that Burrow should be good to go when he's back from the bye. Was looking good after Thursday and looking even better today. Kyron to Kirk. Yeah. I mean, at this point, I think you'd say you'd rather have Christian Kirk, right? But Burrow to Herbert. I understand Herbert's been much better so far this season. I do think that Burrow will be better coming out of the bye week, however. Flawless says, PBR Keenan, Amon-Ra, Swift for Kupp, Walker, Pittman. Give me Kupp over Keenan. Give me Walker over Swift. Give me Amon-Ra over Pittman. I think it is a very fair deal, and honestly, I think it's going to be down to your personal preference. Noah says, Dynasty, A.J. Brown or Smith for a playoff team. We are not going to overthink this. Actually, maybe I'm going to overthink this. Devonta Smith's in year 3, but he did stay all 4 years at Alabama. How old is he? 24, about to be 25 in November. A.J. Brown will be 27 this summer. So it's a very fair question. Obviously, if you are looking at long-term value, I can almost promise you that this offseason, Devonta Smith will be worth more in Dynasty than A.J. Brown is. But with that being said, obviously, if it wins your league now, you probably go ahead and make the move. Sebastian says, flex Deonta Foreman or George Kittle. We're going to go Foreman, my friend. Always the starting running back over the tight end, even if the tight end looks to be in a good spot. YY says, PBR 10-team league, 5-1. We have Mahomes, Jones, Pollard, Warren, Spears, Chase, St. Brown, Allen, Deontay, Palmer, Rice, JSN, Pitts, Ferguson. On the IR, Jeff Wilson, and Kyler. Any moves? So the thing is, you're about to have to take these guys off the IR, right? So you're going to have to clear up roster spots. So the question for you is, what 2 players are you prepared to cut? Your worst running back here is Tajee Spears. Do we want to cut Tajee Spears? Hell no. Our worst wide receiver is Rashee Rice. Do we want to cut Rashee Rice? Hell no. So if we have no guys that we can really move off this team, no players that we could cut, you're kind of stuck in a position where you need to go through and you probably need to make some 2-for-1 deals where if we can send Joshua Palmer and Jalen Warren and just go get a slight running back upgrade. Send Deontay Johnson and Kyle Pitts and go get a slight tight end upgrade. That way we're able to go through, and that way we are able to lift Jeb Wilson and Kyler Murray off the IR without having to cut a player that we really like. You could also go about it in a little bit of a different way. You could just look to go ahead and directly sell Kyler Murray to package with someone else, right? Now, Jake Lid says, got offered A.J. Brown for Amon-Ra St. Brown. Who has the higher long-term upside? Non-PBR league, give me A.J. Brown for touchdown upside. Full PBR league, give me Amon-Ra St. Brown for target upside. Really, they're so damn close. It's just up to you. I'm concerned about DeAndre Swift. Wait, what? Do not be concerned about what DeAndre Swift means for A.J. Brown. Yeah, I would not be, my friend. Reed says 5-1, 16-team at PBR league. Who to start and who to drop? Need a running back with Henry on bye. So we have Deontay Lockett. You're saying Jamal Williams, Detroit. I'm assuming you mean Jamal Williams, New Orleans. Rice, Puka, Watson, Howell. $16-team. Oh, do you mean Jamison Williams? You're saying Jamal Williams, Detroit. I'm assuming maybe you mean Jamison Williams, Detroit. Yeah, that would make more sense. If I had to drop someone, I dropped the backup quarterback. These wide receivers have too much value and too much upside to go through and drop. I would say we're probably going to be starting Deontay Johnson and Tyler Lockett, though. Those would be the top 2 guys. In number 3, I'm sorry, we're going to go Puka and Tyler Lockett. Number 3 would be Deontay Johnson. Brian says, who do I start? Full BBR single flex. We have Gibbs, Barkley, Javonte Stevenson, Metcalf, Puka, Watson. Then Love or Purdy, Lamb on bye, and Kyron Hurt. We're going to go ahead. We're going to play Jordan Love in a great matchup at quarterback. Our two running backs, we're going to be going with Barkley and Gibbs. Our two receivers are going to be going with Puka and Metcalf if he does play, Watson if he doesn't. And then for our flex, I think we're just going to go ahead and play the other wide receiver. Yeah, I think we'd play the other wide receiver before we play Ramondre. No? No. I think we probably, in a full BBR format, getting cheap target volume, have to play Ramondre in the flex. Now, GK says 12-team BBR 5-1. Stroud, CMC, Etienne, Hall, Jaleel, Latavius, Amon-Ra, Palmer, Rice, Dell, Deontay. Jonnu with Connor and Herbert on the IR. Any moves? Okay. So 5-1 team with these running back injuries. We are going to be put in a little bit of a difficult spot, right? Or I don't necessarily know if we can go through and just say, oh, yeah, let's. Actually, no. We are going to be just fine because we have, outside of this week, a great running back trio there. For that reason, I mean, we could afford to go out there and see if we could sell James Conner once he comes back and he actually gets that bump in value with Jonnu Smith to get a viable tight ends. But in reality, since we are 5-1 with an extremely strong team, I would think that we would just kind of want to sit on our hands, wait for these IR players to make it back. And once they do make it back, then at that point, look to sell them either and get that upgrade at quarterback or that upgrade at tight ends. Isaac says Addison or Deontay rest of season. I'm going to go Jordan Addison rest of season. Okay. Next question coming out from Owen says 12-team PPR double flex. We have Herbert, Brees, Jacobs, Achane, Jefferson, Kupp, Higgins, Amari, JSN, Kittle. Offered Jefferson for Devontae Rice or Pacheco. Double flex league, the depth's going to matter a little bit more. Offered Hawkinson and Cook for Jacobs. I'm going to keep Jacobs over Hawkinson and Cook. And then I would sell Pacheco for Justin Jefferson in a full BBR double flex league. Where, I mean, we do have some flexibility. We are 3-3. We can look to wait for that long-term upside. Jeffrey says a 5-1, 12-team non-PPR, 3 receivers in a flex. We have Allen, Stafford, CMC, White, Achane, Gus, Singletary, Henderson, Kupp, Amari, Hollywood, Tank, Palmer, Downs, Bourne, Andrews, Ertz. Probably start CMC. Flex who? Yeah, I'm honestly probably will have to plan on going CMC. I would definitely make sure that we have either one of Elijah Mitchell or Jordan Mason rostered just in case we have to go with that play last minute. I'm assuming Jordan Mason got picked up in your league, but maybe Mitchell's out there. And then for our wide receivers, we're going to be going Kupp, Amari, and then we're going to be flexing Hollywood Brown. Chase says, happy be our Shell League single flex. Start 2. Taylor or Gibbs. And then the flex Amari or Flowers. We also have Jameson and Elijah on the bench. I think I'm probably going to go with both running backs. I'm going to go with JT and then flex Jahmyr Gibbs. I really want to tell you Amari. I have a lot of Amari Cooper. I like Amari. My hesitation with it is just I don't necessarily know exactly how effective Deshaun Watson's going to be with the shoulder. Now, OB Patrick says PBR 10-team league. We have Hurts, CMC, Brees, Ramondre, Waddle, Ridley, Watson, Goddard, Addison, Gabe Davis, Pierce, Hunt. Got offered A.J. Brown and Kenneth Walker for CMC and Ridley. What are you thinking? I probably want CMC and Ridley. I mean, A.J. Brown and Kenneth Walker are pretty damn close. The thing is, if we're really only going to get at the very most 1 week miss from Christian McCaffrey, Ultimately, this is still the most valuable player in fantasy football. It's a 10-team league where it's not like we're hurting for wide receiver depth. We have plenty of depth at the position. So, yeah, I'm going to go ahead. I'm just going to be holding on to Christian McCaffrey here. I think he's the best player. I think that's who we want. Now, Steve says 10-team, happy BR 3-3. League has not done a single trade yet. Goff, Eckler, Ford, Waddle, Ayuk, Ingram, Myers. And then on the bench, we have Cousins, Debo, Jaleel, Rice, Lamb, Kyron, Sanders. RB2 until Kyron gets back. I'd say you probably have to assume that it's Ford, especially if Hunt's banged up. I would go ahead and I would pick up Miles Sanders, though. Like, if we would cut either Jaleel or Rashee Rice, I mean, obviously, Sanders isn't someone that we're super excited about, but ultimately, at the end of the day, we probably need to have a startable running back with no Kyron. Will says non-PPR 10-team league 4-2. We have CMC, White, Mason, Henderson, Achane, Jeff Wilson Jr., Amari, Amon-Ra, Collins, Waddle. Someone offered Jacobs or Kamara for Amon-Ra. Take it or hold out for week 11 until Achane. So we're for sure not trading for Kamara. It's a non-PPR format. Non-PPR league, Kamara is not too appealing. I mean, the majority of the value you're getting from Jacobs as well as what he's giving you in the receiving game. So, I mean, it's a little bit of a tougher spot. I would say that while we're sitting here starting White, it's not like we're in full-blown panic to make a move. If you wanted to make a trade, you're going to be trading Amon-Ra for Jacobs. But like I said, I do think that you have some flexibility because you are 4-2 with an extremely strong roster. Okay. Let's move this over. A big Teach, happy to see you, says, what up, G? 12-team full BBR. How are you not a moderator already, my man? Oh, no, you are a moderator. Why is your name blank, though? 12-team full BBR 5-1. Hurts, Madison, Roshan, Jeb Wilson, Charbonnet, Keontae, Elijah Mitchell. How the hell are you 5-1 with this running back room? Jamar, Olave, Pickens, JSN, Jonnu. Who to start? Thanks, my friend. Appreciate you. Impressive that you're 5-1. I don't think this is a loaded team by any means, my friend. I mean, I think we're going to have to go ahead. We'll probably have to play Alexander Madison, Keontae Ingram at running back. Wide receiver, we're going to go through and we're going to be playing Olave, Pickens. For the flex, we will go with Jackson Smith and Jigba. How are we 5? This is a phenomenal record. I just, to be honest with you, I don't think that team looks like a 5-1 team. Alexi, happy to see you. Says, hey, Mason, it's my birthday. Oh, hell yes. Can everybody spam the chat? Happy birthday. Happy birthday, Alexi. Trade Tank Dell for Javonte Williams. Yes, if you need a running back, go get Javonte. I don't think Dell's really going to move the needle. And real quick, we are 1 like away from hitting 300 likes on this live stream. If you have not done so already, go down there, drop a like on this stream, ladies and gentlemen. Subscribe to the channel if you play fantasy football. And if you wanted to check out any of those pick'ems over on Underdog, one of my favorite pick'ems right now, Sam Laporta with a 2x multiplier to score a touchdown tomorrow. You can find that link in the live chat in the description in the comment section. Promo code FLOCK, you're going to get a 100% deposit match, plus our rest of season fantasy football rankings and tiers. And on top of that, a Lamar Jackson special pick'em, more than less than half a total yard. And on top of that, ladies and gentlemen, a LeBron James special pick'em, site-wide, more than less than half a total point for NBA kickoff. And since so many people used promo code FLOCK on Underdog last week, hooking you up with the third one. Amon-Ra St. Brown, more than less than half a total yard for next week. That's only going to be for people who use code FLOCK. And that doesn't matter if you use code FLOCK 2 years ago, last year, yesterday, today, tomorrow. You will be getting that. So please take advantage. Crab Vision says 12-team PPR. We have Mahomes, CMC, JT, Gibbs, Warren, Jeff Wilson Jr., Spears, Pierce, Javonte, Waddle, Watson, Ridley, Rice, Laporta. Should I move Javonte for JSN or Zay? So, I mean, running back depth is okay here. I do think that Javonte is someone I'd be looking to sell in general. Like I've said, it's a I mean, he's in a 3-man running back by committee and one of the worst offenses in the NFL, right? So if we were going to make a trade, we would trade him for Zay Flowers out of those two. Now, Unwanted Hero again says, bench is Tua, Akers, Henderson, Gainwell, Downs. Been trying to trade Tua and or Josh Allen plus a player for a stud. What are your thoughts? 100% agree, my friend. I mean, I think what you need to do is go to that Justin Fields team, go to the Anthony Richardson team, go to the Deshaun Watson team, and go, hey guys, or hey man, I message them directly. Like, I see that you need a quarterback. I have both Allen and Tua. I'm just seeing what we could get for Tua right now. Would love if you could send me an offer. See what you get. I mean, in terms of packaging a player down here on the bench, I don't necessarily know if that makes a lot of sense, just strictly because a lot of these depth pieces on our bench don't really have much value. You can go ahead and try, but in reality, I don't necessarily think that's going to be the thing that gets it done. Niner Rick says drop Charbonnet or Roschon and then start Foreman or Madison. Oh my gosh, tough spot. I think Roschon has higher floor if he comes back next week. Charbonnet has higher ceiling. It's up to you. It's up to you. I think you go Roschon for the floor if you need someone to start in the short term. Charbonnet for the ceiling if you need a long-term play. And then between Foreman or Madison, I probably will go Alexander Madison, even though it is a very tough matchup. Louis, always happy to see us, says 12-team PBR. We have Lawrence, Jacobs, White, Tyreek, Cup, Watson, Laporta. Currently 2-4. What am I doing wrong? Let's flocking go. Okay, so this is going to be a really bad answer, and I know it's probably going to be one you roll your eyes at, get a little frustrated with, because obviously if you're 2-4, you want an answer. You want a real one. And I don't have one for you. It's if I'm looking at this, Cooper Kupp was on the IR through the first month. Christian Watson really has not played at all this year. You've dealt with injuries from 2 of your top flex options. So it's the natural expectation that this team starts off slow. It's the natural expectation that this team doesn't really do much at the beginning. I would assume that we are naturally going to get better as the season progresses. And I don't necessarily think that we need to be making a play from here. I think you were just unfortunate with injuries early on. And now that your guys are healthy, it should be a much better spot going forward. Max has traded my Ford for Tua and Javonte. Hell yes. If you needed a quarterback, great move. Torrance says 18 PBR 4-2. With Mahomes, Eckler, Hall, Swift, Diggs, Allen, Waddle, Goddard. And then on the bench, we have Pickens, Stevenson, Ridley, Lockett. Would you try to acquire HN with depth pieces or look elsewhere? I like the idea. We can go out there, we can sell some depth, get in a player that in the long term is going to be able to help us for the fantasy football playoffs. I just don't necessarily know if HN's the first name that we're going to go with. If that's the only deal we can get done, then sure. But instead, what I personally would be looking at, my friend, is I would personally go ahead and look at what we have with Justin Jefferson. As with HN, you were working with the very limited sample in which he was elite. He was phenomenal in that sample, but still coming back in, we don't exactly know what the workload would look like. I don't know exactly what we can expect from HN. Whereas I know what we should expect when it comes to Jefferson. Jefferson will be that top 3 wide receiver in fantasy. Matthew says trade Stevenson and McLaurin for Puka and Zach Moss. Give me Puka over Stevenson, McLaurin, Moss, up to you. So yeah, I think you can do it if you want it. I think it's a fair trade. Justine says, would you trade Brown and Higgins for Eckler and Smith? 10-team BBR league. I have Jalen Hurts. Give me Eckler over Brown, Smith, Higgins, up to you. So yes, I would go ahead and I would get Eckler here. I mean, I didn't even draft Eckler a lot just because given the age, given the additional receiving weapons here, I was a little bit worried about this, but season. However, now with the Williams injury, with Eckler being good to go, plus him already through his bye week, Eckler's an elite level guy. Justin says, Hill, AJ Brown, Puka with the same buy. Trade Puka for Olave. I'm completely fine if you want to do this. I'm not necessarily doing it because they're on the same bye. I'm doing it because I think that they're in the same tier, and it's up to you. Cole says trade Flowers and Lockett for Devonta Smith. 2 wide receiver, 1 flex league. Sure. If it's a league with multiple flex spots where the wide receiver depth's going to matter, then I probably don't. Now, Cole has our next question, but it's going to take us just 1 second to pull up. I'm sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to have to pull this up on our separate screen. And as I do this, if you have not done so already, please go down there, drop a like on this live stream. Subscribe to the channel if you play fantasy football. And if you wanted to check out any of those pick'ems over on Underdog Fantasy, link in the live chat, link in the description, link in the comment section. Promo code FLOCK, 100% deposit match, plus our rest of season fantasy football rankings and tiers. And on top of that, ladies and gentlemen, if you're new to Underdog, a Lamar Jackson special pick'em more than less than half a total yard, a site-wide special pick'em more than less than half a total point for LeBron for NBA tip-off. And since so many people used code FLOCK on Underdog last week, an Amon-Ra St. Brown special pick'em on Underdog only for people who use code FLOCK next week. Literally nothing like that ever happens. Please make sure y'all are taking advantage. Super happy we're able to get y'all all that. But going over and pulling this up, this next question coming out from Cole, who says trade Flowers. Oh, no, we already answered that one. Justin says pick 2 to start. Pacheco, JT Gibbs, Aaron Jones, full PPR format. I'm going to go with Pacheco and Aaron Jones, with Jones having a great matchup against Denver. Zach says start Deshaun Watson or Sam Howell. Really don't know what we can expect from Deshaun Watson, but what I do know is Sam Howell is not someone that I want to start. So, yeah, I would go ahead. I would go with Deshaun Watson here, my friend. Okay. Now, Cole says 10-team PPR 3-3. We have Herbert, Bijan, James Cook, Chase, Keenan, Lamb, Kelsey, Lockett, Flowers, Higgins, JT. Any trade ideas? Quarterbacks aren't available for trade. I mean, we just have so many depth pieces. It's super boring, my man. But yeah, we're making as many 2-for-1 deals as we possibly could. So that idea that you had earlier, I mean, to trade Lockett and Flowers for an upgrade at wide receiver, that's like the exact kind of move that we are looking to make with this team. Obviously, it all comes down to the price point that we would get with said individual player. Now, I do think with a team like this, with how shallow this format is, it is one of those teams where you can afford to go out there and trade away like CeeDee Lamb for Justin Jefferson. Chris says, hey, Mason, 8-team full BBR, 5-1 double flex with Fields and Stroud on the bench. We have Kamara, Saquon Cup, Puka, Hollywood, Aaron Jones, Andrews, Jefferson. Any moves? Okay. Not necessarily the full BBR format here. I do like building around these running backs that are going to catch the ball a lot. We have the elite level tight end, which is always a priority for me in an 8-team league. Because this is that 8-team format, I would always be willing to go out there and send out the offer like Hollywood Brown and Andrews and see if we can somehow swindle ourselves into Kelsey. Much easier said than done. Probably not happening. You're probably just sitting on this team. King Rick says 10-team BBR. Stumped on filling the flex with Samuel on bye. Collins on bye. Options are Brian Robinson Jr., Curtis Samuel, Palmer, Ford. Help me, please. Bless my man. We are going to be going with Jerome Ford if Kareem Hunt misses. If Kareem Hunt plays, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take Brian Robinson. Edson says, I got this offer, Kamara, Moss, and Devontae for CMC. I'm going to go ahead and take Christian McCaffrey here. I'm going to go CMC. TB says start Brock Purdy or Jordan Love. I'm going to go Jordan Love with a much better matchup against Denver. Vexify says 3-3, 12-team PBR, second most points scored. We have Tua, Fields, Barkley, Cook, Hill, Foreman, Latavius, Achane, Charbonnet, Craig Reynolds, London, Puka, Keenan, Lamb, Michael Thomas, Andrews at tight end. Any moves? So what I would have said last week is let's go ahead and let's see if we can sell Fields if we have Tua here as well. Now you're probably better off waiting until Fields does manage to get healthy, and then at that point, exploring what a trade may look like. We're waiting until Achane gets healthy as well. We're waiting for CeeDee Lamb to get through his bye. So honestly, we had the second most points scored in our league. That's with Saquon Barkley getting injured at the beginning of the year. We've been decimated with injuries. I think that we are going to be much better going forward. I think we just need to be a little bit patient. Emmanuel says Tua, Eckler, Taylor, Adams, Amari, Debo, Madison. What do you think? I think it's a strong team. Obviously, it's a team that dealt with a little bit of crap at the beginning of the year with the Eckler and Taylor injuries, but should be much better going forward. D-Lang says 6-0 at BBR, start 1. Stevenson, DJ Moore, or Zay Flowers. Ooh. If you look at my flex rankings for this week, I have DJ Moore, Zay Flowers ranked back-to-back 31, 32. I have Ramadre at 29. I honestly do think that it's up to you. Like I said, all these guys are ranked within 3 to 4 slots for me. I could kind of go back and forth here with these players. Let's probably go Zay Flowers. I know the majority of people in the live chat would want Flowers. In the clutch coming out saying, I'm 2-4. We have Burrow, Fields, Purdy, Eckler, Bijan, Jacobs, Lamb, Ayuk, Ertz, Schultz. Should I panic? I don't want to say panic's the right word. I definitely think that we should look to make a move if we can. If you're 2-4, I think it would make sense for us to see if we could go out there and potentially move off of Justin Fields. Looks like Fields not going on the IR, but will miss a few weeks here. Obviously, on a 2-4 roster, we're trying to prioritize production for right now rather than later on. So if we could send Justin Fields, especially when we'll have Joe Burrow through the bye week coming out later, say with a player like Dalton Schultz and just get a slight upgrade at tight ends, or go send him with, say, I don't know. Really, the tight ends position's the only one that we could upgrade because we are very, very strong at both running back and wide receiver. Michael says 10-team at BBR trade Adrian Brown and Gibbs for Eckler. 2 wide receiver, 1 flex league. Yes, I would go ahead and do this. Ethan says Palmer or Christian Watson in the flex. We have Herbert for the stack. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to play Christian Watson with him just having a great matchup against Denver. Now, Brian says 12-team full BBR. Start 2 running backs in a flex. We have Javonte, Foreman, Mitchell, Jamal, Jaleel. 2-4 and a lot of buys. Should we take the gamble with Elijah Mitchell? We're for sure going to go Foreman and Javonte with our 2 running backs. Jamal already played, so it's either Elijah Mitchell or Jaleel. I think that we wait and see if we can make this decision late tomorrow before the Denver game. And if CMC is 100% playing, then we probably go ahead and plan on playing Jaleel. And if CMC is not cleared good to go, then we could go with Elijah Mitchell over Jaleel. I probably got to go Jaleel, to be honest with you. Now, Ryan says 5-1, 10-team double flex league. We have Hurts, Etienne, Taylor, Pierce, Wilson, Diggs, Wilson, Ayuk, Thielen, Deontay, Gabe Davis, Rice, Hawkinson. Any thoughts? I mean, a team with a ton of wide receiver depth. Now that you're going to Deontay Johnson back in, I would love to see if we can take advantage of how much wide receiver firepower that we have here and sell a player that everybody wants and go get a stud running back. Like if with this build, you could sell, say, Dameon Pierce and Adam Thielen for an elite level RB. I think that would make a lot of sense. Now, Mel Bailey says, please set and rest of season help. 12-team full BBR, where we have Jalen Hurts, Geno Smith, Mostert, Aaron Jones, Madison, Connor, Chase, Flowers, Lockett, Palmer, Laporta. Flex is only wide receiver, tight ends. Interesting to know. We're going to go Mostert, Aaron Jones at running back. We're going to go Jalen Hurts at quarterback. Receiver, we're going to be going with Flowers and Lockett. Tight end, we're going to go Laporta. I don't know who Leonard is. Probably being an idiot, but I mean, how do I not know who this is? Let me search this. It's Leonard Williams. Regardless, probably does not matter, right? For the flex, we will go ahead and we will take Alexander Madison. With Madison, really tough matchup, but just really safe workload. Now, Caleb says, a full BBR, 3 receivers, 1 flex. Who to start? We have CMC, Walker, JT or Madre, Elijah Mitchell, Keenan, DK, Deontay, Palmer, and JSN. We're going to go with CMC, Kenneth Walker, running back. Because we have the ability to flip to Elijah Mitchell if CMC does not play. Wide receiver, we're going to be going with Keenan, DK, Deontay. And then for the flex, we're going to go with Jonathan Taylor. For the flex, we're going to go JT. Tough spot, though. Haram says that was Leonard Fournette. It was listed with the wide receivers, though. That's why I was confused. It wasn't listed with the running backs. Yeah, no, I understand who Leonard Fournette is, ladies and gentlemen. But Leonard, however, was listed with wide receivers. Okay, let me swing this back around. We are going to have to pull this to the other screen. I apologize. Just give me 1 second to do this. Ben Weaver says, start 1, Happy BR, Ramondre Stevenson or DJ Moore. Can everybody spam the chat? Who would you rather have? Would you rather have Ramondre Stevenson or DJ Moore? Ramondre Stevenson or DJ Moore? More Ramondre. More Ramondre. More. More Ramondre. More. Looks like most people are taking DJ Moore over Ramondre Stevenson there. I mean, let me pull up where I had these guys in my flex rankings. I had Ramondre at 29, DJ Moore at 31. So I essentially have these guys back to back. So I do think that it's up to you. But ladies and gentlemen, we are 1 like away from hitting 400 likes on this stream. If you have not done so already, hit that like button, ladies and gentlemen. Hit that like button. Okay, so Steve coming out with our next question. This one says, a 4-2, 10-team league. And this question is way too big, is it not? Three receivers, 2 running backs, and a flex. Trade my Puka, Jacobs, Foreman for Tyreek and Gibbs. Oh, we're going to go Tyreek and Gibbs there easily. This is reminiscent of the trades we used to be seeing back in weeks 2 and 3 for Puka. Lawrence, Keenan, Amon-Ra, Puka, Deontay, Rashid, JSN, CMC, Eckler. Yeah, so I mean, it's a little bit tougher here when it's a league where you start 3 wide receivers to sell that depth, right? But ultimately, while Deonta Foreman may be depth right now and someone you're excited to start literally a week from now, that's going to change. So yeah, go get Tyreek, go get Gibbs there. I'm doing that easily. Daniel says, Roshan is out. Start 1. Hunt, Ahmed, Jordan Mason. Thanks. Thank you, my friend. We are going to go ahead. We are going to be planning on, honestly, probably Jordan Mason, because I don't think we'll get the clarity with the CMC situation by the time that we have to make that call. And worst case scenario, if we start Mason and CMC does play, Jordan Mason should still have somewhat of a role. And Kareem Hunt's going to be in a committee as well, right? No matter what, that player is going to be in a committee, but The only player who doesn't have a shot at, who has a shot at being a starter is Jordan Mason there. Jeff says trade Jacobs Thielen for Lamb, Aaron Jones in a 10-team league. Give me Lamb over Thielen. Give me Jacobs over Aaron Jones. I do think that is a fair deal, and it's up to you, my friend. I think it's a fair deal, and it's up to you. Okay. Now let's move this back around. Mel Bailey says, please set and rest of season help. Geno Lawrence, Jones, Ford, Montgomery, Warren, Jeff Wilson, Spears, Roshan, Olave, DK, Watson, Osborne, JSN, Kelsey, and Laporta. Need to trade Sam Laporta. 100% agree. I think what we will look to do is sell Laporta. I think what I would try to do is upgrade running back. See if we can sell Sam Laporta and Jerome Ford and go get to like the Josh Jacobs range. And then here in the starting lineup, I don't know who we started at quarterback. Obviously, we already had to make this decision on Thursday. Lawrence already playing. Then running back, we are to go Aaron Jones and Jerome Ford. Wide receiver, I'm assuming maybe we already started Olave. We're going to be going with DK Metcalf, wide receiver 2, Christian Watson for the flex. And then for the tight end, we are going to be going with Travis Kelce. And then if DK does not play, then at that point, I think Sam Laporta would be our backup flex option. Bad Ape says, pick one, Dylan, Evans, or Wandale. We're going to go with Mike Evans, my friend. Amani says, Dynasty 2 quarterback 10-team league. Burrow, Bijan, Walker, London, Waddle, Pitts, T, Hollywood, Zay, CJ. 6 future first. Should we trade an early future first in Hollywood for Anthony Richardson? Really like Anthony Richardson, and I would say that I think he has a good shot to be worth this offseason. But if that early first may end up being like Caleb Williams, may end up being Drake May, if it's like an early first where it looks like it's going to be the 101 or 102, I probably hold on to it. If you think it's going to be closer to 104-ish range, then obviously that would be worth more than Anthony Richardson for the rebuild. Tover says, Mason helped me playing against Hurts, A.J. Brown, starting Mahomes, Ayuk, Waddle, James Cook, Javonte, Andrews, flex DJ Moore, Goddard. Flex DJ Moore, Goddard to steal points. Flog fan for life. Appreciate you, my friend. This is something I used to overthink a lot way back in the day, like back in like 2012, 2013. I would think like, oh, okay, they're starting this quarterback, so let me go ahead and let me start this wide receiver and counteract this. In reality, you're way overthinking it. If it's like Monday night where we know, okay, Jalen Hurts has to drop 40 points if they want to beat me. And then we can go through and we can start Dallas Goedert in. That makes sense, you know? Where we can say, okay, yeah, they need now a blow-up game, and it has to not be through Dallas Goedert. But before the games even start to go through and make that call, really, just really bad. You just want to make the best plays for your team in particular. Now, Ibrahim says, please help Happy BR, Palmer or Deonta Foreman. I'm going to be going with Deonta Foreman in a Happy BR league. Seekstill says, oh yeah, so going back to this, just in case I wasn't clear here, my friend. We're going to start DJ Moore over Dallas Goedert. Go DJ Moore over Dallas Goedert. Okay. Seekstill says start Metcalf or Madison in a full PBR league. Worried about Metcalf's injury. I'm going to play it on Metcalf. Good matchup against Arizona. What's nice is Madison plays after Metcalf, though. So you will get the clarity, right? You'll have clarity by the time you have to make that call on DK Metcalf's injury. Jesse says hold or trade Joe Mixon. I'd be holding. I think that the offense is going to get better coming out of the bye with the fully healthy Burrow. Yaniv says full BBR 3-3. Samuel or KJ Osborne for the flex. I personally am going to go KJ Osborne despite it being a very tough matchup against San Fran. Now, Brian says Jamison, Jaleel, Elijah Mitchell in the flex, full PPR format. I personally am going to be going ahead and taking Jaleel for the floor, maybe Elijah Mitchell for the ceiling, unless we for sure have CMC ruled out. If CMC's ruled out, we're going to go Elijah Mitchell by the time we have to make this call. If that's not the case, then we'll probably just play Jaleel. Or honestly, we'll probably just play Jameson. The reason I'm saying Jaleel is because he plays later in the day, so maybe we have a better idea with CMC. Honestly, may just have to go Jameson. Night Dog says Aaron Jones or Jahmyr Gibbs. Worried about Jones playing at 3. I'm probably going to go ahead. I'm probably going to be taking Aaron Jones. Niner Rick says, drop Charbonnet Roschon for Stroud to beat the waiver wire. My issue with this, right, is if we drop Charbonnet and Kenneth Walker goes down this week, Zach Charbonnet is a legitimate league-winning player, right? So we're just picking up Stroud for the hell of it. I would rather wait, make sure nothing crazy happens in this game, and then just go after him on waivers like everybody else next week. It's a little bit more of a high-risk approach, but also you are getting the ceiling here as well. And Mel Bailey, I'm really sorry. I see your message. I'm sorry that that was all my fault. Isaiah says, should I trade Kirk Cousins, Nico Collins, Garrett Wilson for Russ, Ayuk, and Laporta? My quarterback's Mahomes. So if your quarterback's Mahomes, I mean, Cousins not really going to make a difference for us, right? Nico Collins, Ayuk, give me Ayuk. Garrett Wilson, Laporta, up to your team. So I think you can do this if you want, but just because we have Mahomes, right? Okay. The Hunt coming out saying 6-0. We have Lamar, Swift, Jacobs, Diggs, Ayuk, Ingram, Barkley, Smith, Moss, Godwin bench. Any recommendations? It's an 8-team league. I'm honestly surprised that we're 6-0 in an 8-team format here. I mean, typically 8-team leagues are going to be brutal to go out there and try to run the gauntlet, right? But this is a really strong team. The only thing I'd say is if you could send an elite, like if you could send Ayuk and Evan Ingram in an 8-team league in particular and get an elite level tight end in return, we'd for sure look to do that. 280 is always happy to see you. My man says, you're a boss, Mason. 12-team full BBR. We have Jones in at RB2. If he sits, who should we start at RB2 in a flex? Between Stevenson, Foreman, Jeff Wilson Jr., Hunt, and JSN. We're going to be going with both Stevenson and Foreman, just taking the running backs with the guaranteed workloads, my friend. Jose says, would you trade Pollard, KJ Osborne for Puka and Roschon? Nope, I would rather have Pollard here. I didn't even draft much Pollard this year, but honestly, going forward, Pollard does look like a top 5 RB. Dave says, 5-1 full BBR, traded St. Brown, Kamara, Kyron for JT, Henry, Puka, London. The team is Herbert, A.J. Brown, Keenan, Aaron Jones, Chase, H.N. Rice. Do you like the trade? And who should we flex this week between Lockett, Rice, or London? I'm going to flex Lockett here. St. Brown versus JT. Give me St. Brown. Full BBR, Kamara versus Henry. Give me Kamara. Kyron versus Puka. Give me Puka. London doesn't really move the needle. I do think that the deal is ultimately going to come down to you. And yeah, let's go ahead and let's start Tyler Lockett. Alfonso says, full BBR where we have Lamar, Saquon White, Gibbs, Pierce, Lamb, Cup, Olave, Ridley, Judy, Godwin, Laporta. Got offered Zay and Devonta Smith for CeeDee Lamb. Any trades? Okay. I would say if this is a 2 wide receiver, 1 flex league, we already have so much wide receiver depth. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to keep the best player. I will keep CeeDee Lamb here. And I think this is a great team. We have an elite quarterback. We have a great tight end. We have Cooper Kupp back in. I think it's understandable why this team's 2-4, right? You had both the Saquon Barkley and Cooper Kupp injuries early on. I think that this team should be much better going forward. So honestly, I do think that we are going to be sitting on our hands here. JY says, hey, Mason, traded Garrett Wilson and Dak and got Lamar and McKinnon. Do you think it was a good move? 4-2. We have Connor, Jones, Diggs, Keenan, Kirk, Ingram, Sanders. McKinnon has no value, so we traded Garrett Wilson and Dak for Lamar. I'm fine with it if it's a 4-point passing touchdown format. I mean, obviously, there's a significant gap between Lamar and Dak here. Kevin says 5-1 in a 16-team league, 3 wide receivers, 1 flex. We have Howell, Diggs, Adams, Puka, London, Kamara, Pierce, Roschon, Charbonnet, Gainwell. Any moves? Thanks. 3 wide receivers, 16-team league. Wide receiver depth is going to be king. We're able to start Diggs, Adams, Puka, London every single week. Beautiful. We're playing Kamara at running back. RB2, we're going to be churning the waiver wire here. We've kind of punted quarterback. We've kind of punted tight ends. Obviously, every chance we get to go out there and pick up a quarterback with upside that makes sense. I'd even be willing to look at like Gardner Minshew being worth the roster spot. Great team in a 16-team league, 3 wide receiver slots. I think we're chilling. Stephen says 8-team at PBR format. Mahomes, CMC, Stevenson, A.J. Brown, Pittman, Myers, Jonnu. And then on the bench, we have Higgins, Ingram, Thielen, Mixon, Mason, Kyron, HN. Any ideas for running back? So brutal to lose both Kyron and HN. I would say more so I'd be wanting to make a move. Actually, no. We're going to be fine at running back. The main thing that I have with this team is let's please make sure that we're going to be starting Evan Ingram going forward over Jonnu Smith. No idea why we benched Evan Ingram for Jonnu this week. I mean, if you really wanted to try to sell Ramondre and like Kyron Williams to go get a running back upgrade, then sure, let's do it. I'd just be very surprised if you're going to get anything for Ramondre at this point. Blast says full BBR Walker, Jameson for Stafford, Hall, and Higgins. Give me Walker over Hall. Give me Higgins over Jameson. Stafford, about a streaming quarterback if you need one. Honestly, up to you. I think you can go either way. I mean, it really does come down to do you need that quarterback and what is depth looking like on your waiver wire. Now, Christian says double point PPR. Stafford, Godwin, Lamb, Wilson, Kamara. So I guess Kamara is just the most valuable player in this entire format. It's for double point PPR. Gibbs, Hawkinson. Yeah, so we have another running back that's going to rack up receptions. Love to see it. Judy, Palmer, Hubbard, Spears, Moore, Jet, Wilson, Reynolds. Best rest of season option. Just traded Ford and Samuel for Godwin and Reynolds. What are your thoughts? I think it's a fine move. And honestly, this team, I hate to say it, and I know I just sound like a broken record. Great team, great team, great team. But this team is set up exactly how you'd want to see it, right? It's a double point per reception league where we are highly incentivized to chase the check down kings. Where here we are sitting with Jahmyr Gibbs and Alvin Kamara at running back. I mean, we should be really excited about that. Ben says, start one full BBR, Pittman or Madison. Both have brutal matchups, full BBR format. Give me Pittman, though. GS says, offer JT and Hollywood for Saquon. If Hollywood would actually move the needle, I think it's up to you. I mean, JT, Saquon are about neck and neck in our rest of season rankings. Now, Monty says, same team, Joe, Bijan, Walker, Waddle, T, Drake, Hollywood, Pitts, Zay, CJ. 6 future first, any moves to dominate. It's a very interesting team, right? Where we're not ready to compete right now. We're far from a full-blown rebuild, a full-blown punt. So you don't necessarily know if we want to say, okay, yeah, let's go ahead and let's sell a few of these future first. Let's get some key producers in. Let's win right now and still have the long-term upside. That's why I like selling an early 2024 first and going and getting a quarterback, unlike Richardson, that's actually going to be able to help us right now at the same time. Maybe that would be a little bit more intriguing. I would say let's at least explore the possibility of going out there and turning this team into a contender right now. By no means am I going to be selling our picks for pennies on the dollar. I mean, you probably saw how I was valuing these picks with your first question. You are in the position of power. I think that you only make a trade if it makes absolute sense for you. But if you could get a phenomenal price for a future first that would actually help you win right this second, I think that would be something that we look to do just because we have so much value on this team, we can afford it. Jovi says, who are my two running back starters out of Jacobs, Aaron Jones, Hall? Thank you. Rest of season, I think it will be Jacobs and Hall, my friend. Rest of season, that is. Okay. Sorry, it was just something. Trying to find where we are. Simon with our next question. 4-2, 12-team PPR format, where we have Allen, Kyron, Montgomery, Diggs, Olave, Laporta, the flex Addison. On the bench, we have Madison, Mayer, Zeke, Musgrave, Chuba, Keontae, Henderson. Should we panic? We lose both Kyron and Montgomery. We have Madison to play in the short term. We don't really have a running back two that we're excited about. We'll be playing Keontae Ingram and setting up a prayer. I would say that we should be very worried, and over the next few weeks, it is going to be extremely tough. But with that being said, on a 4-2 roster, we are in a position where it can be tough, right? It's not the end of the world. We are 4-2. I think we just have to get through, make sure we continue to turn waivers, find some short-term running backs, and then obviously get David Montgomery back in the long term. Now, Demetrio says, hey man, non-PPR, who are we starting? Goff, Foreman, Mostert, Amon-Ra, Flowers, Samuel, Goddard. And then on the bench, we have Stafford. I would actually start Stafford over Goff this week. If you look at implied team totals from Las Vegas Sportsbooks, I mean, they're telling us the Rams will be a much better offense this week than the Lions. Reynolds, Najee, the rest are on bye. So it's like Najee Harris versus Curtis Samuel, Deonta Foreman, Raheem Mostert. I'm not saying that I'm excited to start Najee Harris, but I will go ahead and I am going to take Najee Harris over Curtis Samuel. It's not about Najee being an exciting player. It's pretty much just about Curtis Samuel being the exact opposite. I know Samuel gets there last week with the touchdown, but ultimately, McLaurin's dominating target volume in what is a very low passing volume offense outside of the few games where they get boat race and actually give you a lot. Justin says, thoughts on Aaron Jones? It's him or Javonte. I think Aaron Jones will be a much better running back going forward when he's fully healthy. I think it's a great matchup against Denver, so I will go Aaron Jones. Mo says, Amari over Moore if Watson's playing. We also have Lockett. Yes, I'm going to go Amari over DJ Moore. Probably go Amari over DJ Moore almost regardless. Keep in mind, Justin Fields isn't playing, you know. Now, GT coming out saying, 12-team PPR single flex. We have Howell, Devontae, Michael Thomas, Kamara, Aaron Jones, Kelsey, Myers, and then on the bench, Madison, Jameson, Quentin Johnson, Keaton Mitchell, Salvador Ahmad, Jamal Achane, Debo. Possible trade for a wide receiver 1/2. I would say wide receiver is not going to be my priority here. I understand that, yes, Devontae Adams has been very disappointing. I would say I'm almost more so looking to try to see if we can go out there and upgrade quarterback Because we're going to at least get Deebo Samuel back in the long term. Adams will be much better. Yeah, if anything, the primary move that I'm going to be making is cutting one of these guys down there at the bottom end of the team, like either Keaton Mitchell or Quentin Johnston, and going and picking up another quarterback to play the matchups with Sam Howell. Like, I don't think wide receiver is my priority with that team. Not Searching says Flowers, Gabe Davis, Curtis Samuel, Zach Evans, Osborne's, Wandale. We're going to go with Zay Flowers here, my friend. King Flores says Gibbs or Jerome Ford. I'm going to be going with Gibbs. In a PPR format, the only way I swap is if you have no Kareem Hunt and it's a non-PPR. Actually, if you have no Kareem Hunt, you can go Ford regardless. Jacob says PPR start 2. Hill, McKinnon, Royce, and Antonio Gibson. I'm going to be going Hill and McKinnon. Royce Freeman maybe has a role, but I just personally have no idea what to expect. So I'm going to go through. I'm honestly going to be benching Royce where I can. I have no interest in doing it. At least with Hill and McKinnon, we know they'll touch the ball, right? With Royce, it's far from a guarantee. Brandon Dimmick says, hey, would you trade Amon-Ra St. Brown for Moore and Pittman? I would not, my friend. I'd go St. Brown. Or trade St. Brown for Montgomery, T, and Fab. Or just keep St. Brown rest of season. We have Kamara, Pierce, Amon-Ra, Cup. Yeah, my man, you have plenty of depth. I mean, I don't necessarily know why you are looking to trade the best player and get 2 lesser options in return. I think you're much better off just holding on to Amon-Ra St. Brown. Cameron says, looking to trade for Jonathan Taylor or Barkley. We have Olave, Nico, Kirk, Flowers, Pittman, Jacoby. Who would you trade? Excluding Olave, I would trade any 2 wide receivers for any running back. If you wanted to trade Myers and Flowers, Kirk and Nico, Pittman and Nico, and go get Jonathan Taylor, go get Saquon Barkley, I think you can go ahead and do that. And honestly, I think you just offer all those deals to those players individually. Isaiah says 3-3 sell Kelsey for Adams. I think Adams is an intriguing buy low candidate, but you are way overpaying here. You definitely prefer Kelsey. Mo says full BBR start 1. Javonte, Foreman, or Osborne. We're going to go Deonta Foreman with the only running back there really touching the ball. And should I drop them for Jaleel Rice, Henderson, Evans, or Boyd? I was going to say, if that's Mike, for whatever reason, I thought it was Mike Evans on the waiver wire. I was going to go, oh, hell yeah, we got to go get Mike Evans. But never mind. This is Zach Evans. So if it is Zach Evans, I think we are going to go ahead and we are going to be taking. Probably would drop Osborne, to be honest. I would drop Osborne for Rashee Rice at the minimum. But if you wanted to pick up one of the Rams running backs just to see what would happen, I wouldn't fault you at all for going ahead and making that move. Okay. Tover says, Mason, Flock, family for life. Remember, I drafted Mahomes and Allen. Which to trade for Etienne or Kamara in an 8-team league? If I could trade either guy for Etienne, it would be an absolute no-brainer. I wouldn't care. If it is a 6-point passing touchdown format, I probably look to sell Allen. If it's a 4-point passing touchdown format, I don't care. Yeah, I mean, if you can get Etienne, yeah, you make that in a heartbeat. Now, Machiavelli coming out saying, great channel. I get Jefferson for Ayuk and Gibbs. Of course, I do this when both get more touches. It's a 10-team league where we're 5-1. 10-team league where we're 5-1, it doesn't matter. It is still a phenomenal trade to just go out there and get the best player in Jefferson. Great move. Kobe coming out saying, PBR 10-team league, 4-2. Need to start either Keontae or Algier. Also, how would you trade with the 9th place guy to get CMC? He's asking for Pollard and Keenan, 2 for 1. Kind of seems like it's not worth it for me. If it is a 10-team league with 2 wide receivers, 1 flex, it's definitely a steep price to pay. But in that format, I'm willing to overpay and just go get the best player in football. So while, yeah, I would definitely say you're not getting a discount here by making this trade, it still would be something that I would at least explore the possibility of. And then I'd probably end up starting Keontae Ingram over Tyler Algier. Because if you are looking at Keontae Ingram, at least he has a chance to go out there and lead his backfield, right? Where Algier just has no shot. Okay. But real quick, let me find our next question. I'm going to refresh this. And as I do this, if you have not done so already, hit that like button, ladies and gentlemen. Subscribe to the channel if you play fantasy football. And of course, if you wanted to check out any of those pick'ems over on Underdog Fantasy, you can find that link in the live chat, in the description, in the comment section. Promo code FLOCK, gonna get a 100% deposit match, plus our rest of season fantasy football rankings and tiers. And on top of that, ladies and gentlemen, if you're new to Underdog Fantasy, a Lamar Jackson special pick'em, more than less than half a total yard for tomorrow. On top of that, ladies and gentlemen, an Amon-Ra St. Brown special pick'em, only if you use code FLOCK. That's a FLOCK exclusive. And there's a site-wide special, LeBron James more than less than half a total yard. Literally, this stuff never happens. Please make sure you take advantage while you can. Promo code FLOCK, link in that live chat and description. Frank says, Algier or Roschon rest of season. I think Algier for the ceiling, Roschon for the floor. Roschon has a better shot to be playable next week. But if Bijan were to go down this week, then Algier is a top 10 RB rest of season. Whereas if you were to have Deonta Foreman go down this week, can't say the same thing about Roschon. Zacharias says 4-2, 12-team at BBR. Trade Mostert to Myers for Montgomery Downs. Give me Myers over Downs. Give me Mostert over an injured Montgomery at this point. So no, I want it. Thomas says your personal percent Aaron Jones plays help me sleep. Of course, I am an idiot. Full transparency. Just want to be honest with you. I'm an idiot and I have no idea what I'm talking about. Now, with that being said, 75%? If I had to throw a number out there? Now, let's move this over. Anthony coming out saying, 12-team, single flex, 4-2. We have Lamar, Geno, Jefferson, Amari, Downs, Osborne, Ramondre, Kyron, Moss, Gainwell, Najee, Ingram, Foreman. I don't know who to start and any moves to upgrade. Well, we have the elite quarterback with Lamar. We're starting Lamar every week, regardless of matchup, even though Geno is a good matchup this week. What I would look to do is if we could take Geno and go ahead and send him, say, I don't know, Amari, and go get an upgrade at wide receiver. I think that would be very interesting. Or maybe send Geno and Kyron and go get an upgrade of running. It's just much easier said than done, right? I mean, quarterback, we're starting Lamar. Wide receiver, we're going to be starting Amari and Osborne. Running back, we're going to be starting Ramondre and Deonta Foreman. For the flex, we are going to go Najee Harris. It is brutal with the Jefferson and Kyron injuries there. Okay. Danny coming out saying 14-team, 5-1, pick 2 for RB2, flex. We got Keon, Zach Evans, Hunt, Elijah Mitchell, Palmer, Judy this week. Rest of season is Burrow, Hill, Kupp, Saquon, Montgomery, Andrews, T. Any moves? Okay. I think we're going to go Keontae Ingram and then Joshua Palmer for the flex. Zach Evans has upside. Elijah Mitchell has upside. The issue is we just don't necessarily know who the guy's going to be in Los Angeles. Like, I going back to what I was saying, I'm an idiot. I have no idea with these certain things. And one of those things that I have no idea about is who the guy will be for the Los Angeles Rams. So I think I'm going to go ahead and pull the trigger. Now, David says 3-3 full BBR, where we have Tua, CMC, Jacobs, Diggs, St. Brown, the flex is Walker, and then Andrews at tight ends. And then on the bench, we have Love, Mitchell, JT, Olave, Waddle, Ingram. If CMC is out, what is the best lineup we can make? We're going to be going Walker, Jacobs at running back. Wide receiver, Diggs, St. Brown. Flex, we're going to go ahead. We're going to play Jalen Waddle. And then, yeah, crazy that we have Evan Ingram here at tight end as well. I would assume that maybe you have a possibility of seeing if we can sell like Evan Ingram and Tua for a top 3 quarterback after this week whenever we have Andrews here. Okay. Let me go get the dog. I'm sorry. I'm sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. But Cheever Reefer coming out saying, happy BR pick 2, Godwin, Watson, Addison, JSN, and Quentin Johnston. We're going to go ahead. We're going to play Christian Watson with a great matchup. And then, I hate to say it, I think most smart people go with Chris Godwin. I'm actually probably going to go ahead and instead take Jordan Addison. Really tough spot against the 49ers. But at the same time, I mean, you are looking at a wide receiver that is hyper talented and is playing in an offense where he should be able to command a considerable amount of volume with no Justin Jefferson. Now, Ram says full BBR pick 1, Foreman, Javonte, Judy, and Wandale. I'm going to go with Deonta Foreman. I'm going to go with the running back getting every single touch out of his backfield. Now, GT coming out saying 3-3, 12-team PBR single flex. We have Sam Howell, Devontae, Michael Thomas, Kamara, Aaron Jones, Kelsey, Myers. And then on the bench, we have Jameson, Quentin Johnson, Keaton Mitchell, Ahmed, Madison, Jamal, Debo, Achane. What moves to make for a top 5 quarterback? So, I mean, going down and looking at expendable assets will be a little bit difficult when we have the Devon Achane injury. Because when we have the Achane injury, then all of a sudden, I mean, our depth pieces that we can afford to expend, I mean, maybe Alexander Madison, maybe. In reality, we're probably going to be a spot where we need to hold on to Alexander Madison and actually play him this week over Jacoby Myers. I think we're going to wait 2 to 3 weeks before we can actually go out there and afford that upgrade at the quarterback position. I do really like the idea of it, but we probably just have to wait, considering the fact that we have both the injuries to Debo as well as Devon Achane here. Now, Sidekick coming out saying, hey, Flock, need help. Do I start Rashee Rice over DJ Moore? No, you do not. Please start DJ Moore. Justin Watson's out and Rice is the better quarterback throwing. Other options, Deontay Johnson or Joshua Palmer in a non-PPR format. Yeah, I think you are going to go ahead and take DJ Moore. Like I said, I have drafted so much, and I repeat, so much Rashee Rice in best ball. My most drafted Kansas City Chief this year. I'll make a ton of money if Rashee Rice does great, but in reality, Rashee Rice just simply is not running enough routes for us to confidently say that this is someone that we're going to go out there and start. Definitely want to roster him for him to continue to expand his role, but not someone that we are going through and relying on right now, right? I don't know. I don't think we can rely on him right now. Now, Mr. Black Bowser says 10-team PPR, triple wide receiver, single flex, 3-3. We have Love, Jefferson, Hill, Olave, Watson, Deontay, Downs, Palmer, Etienne, Walker, Roschon, Andrews, Musgrave. Should I aim to make any trades? Triple wide receiver league, depth's going to matter a little bit more. We're dealing with no Jefferson right now. So we're going to have Hill, Olave, Watson starting. We're going to need Deontay for that flex or Joshua Palmer, but keep in mind we're dealing with the bye weeks at the moment. We have Etienne, Walker, running back. We have a banged up Roschon. So, I mean, really the only trade that I would look to make is if we could somehow pair together like Luke Musgrave and Jordan Love and go get a quarterback upgrade, that'd be nice. In reality, probably not going to be able to do that. In reality, the spot that we're in, we're probably just going to end up having to go through and wait for Jefferson to come back. And I'm sorry, I know this is similar to the team that we just looked at, right? Where you're dealing with the Jefferson and I believe Montgomery injury with that previous team. But typically when you're dealing with a team and you have multiple injuries to your top guys where all of a sudden your depth on the team is a little bit questionable, it's much more difficult to go out there and say, oh yeah, easy move. Let's go upgrade a quarterback right now. Sometimes you're going to have to wait till those injured guys get back where we have more expendable assets. Frank says rest of season, JSN, Rashee Rice, Elijah Moore, KJ Osborne. Oh, we're going to go JSN easily if it's rest of season there. Sidekick says also, thank you, Flock. Currently, I'm 6-0, pushing for that 7-0. 10-team non-PBR, Flock. You're right. Appreciate you, my friend, and congrats on all the success. Really happy for you. Okay. Now, Jovi says 3-3, full BBR, 10-team league. We have Lamar, Jacobs, Jones, Tyreek, Ayuk, Hawkinson, Addison. And then on the bench, we have Brees, Chuba, Tajee, Kyron, Watson, Amari, TJSN. Want to get another elite level wide receiver? Do you have any ideas? I mean, if we could go through and just get some kind of value for Kyron Williams, I would do it. Although, you know, we had Kyron Williams, that sell-high candidate, earlier in the week. The reason being is I didn't know Kyron was going to miss this much time, but essentially, if Kyron was missing any time, it does open up the window for another running back to come out here and potentially, I don't want to say take the job, but turn it into a running back by committee, whereas previously you were getting every single snap and every single touch to Kyron Williams. So if you could send, say, Kyron Williams and Brandon Ayuk and go get someone that we're actually excited about at wide receiver, you would have to trade for a distressed asset. You'd have to be looking at like the Devontae Adams range. Maybe you don't even want to give up that much if we're going to get Adams. I think that would be the structure of the trade. Michael says drop Cousins for Watson. Burrow is the starter. Thanks. Thank you, my man. I mean, the issue is obviously with the Watson injury, but Cousins dealing with the Jefferson injury. If you'd rather, I think you just go with whoever you're wanting to start this week. If you'd rather start Watson against Indianapolis than Cousins against San Fran, then yes. Booba says, love the content, bro. Pick one for running back and one for receiver. We have Jones, Jones, Moss, Madison, Myers, and Christian Watson. We're going to go Christian Watson with no Jimmy G, plus Watson has a good matchup. And we're going to be going with Aaron Jones at running back. It's nice that we have Alexander Madison as that backup option, though. Yeah. So if Aaron Jones doesn't go, we can pivot to Alexander Madison for Monday night. Michael says full BBR Adams or Evans and Gibbs or Ford. Evans, Gibbs, and Ford. We're going to go Adams over Evans, and I'm going to go Gibbs over Ford unless Hunt misses. If Hunt misses, then we can pivot. David says, Mason, are we getting a best ball update soon? Let me pull up Underdog real quick, and I'll tell you how we're doing in Best Ball Mania. And I think Underdog let out all the Best Ball Mania data, so you should be able to go through and, like, search all my drafts if you wanted to. Dear God, on Underdog, they have Jahmyr Gibbs at 85.5 total yards for his higher lower than right now. That's crazy. But let me go ahead and pull these drafts up. And as I do this, if you have not done so already, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. And of course, if you wanted to check out any of those pick'ems over on Underdog Fantasy, you can find that link in the live chat in the description in the comment section. Promo code FLOCK, you're going to be getting a 100% deposit match plus our rest of season fantasy football rankings and tiers. And now is the best time to get on Underdog because we get a Lamar Jackson special pick'em more than less than half a total yard. If you're new to Underdog Fantasy, they have a site-wide special as well. LeBron James more than less than half a total, .4 NBA tip-off. And since so many people used promo code FLOCK on Underdog last week, they're hooking y'all up with an Amon-Ra St. Brown special pick'em. More than less than half a total yard going up against Denver next week as well. All three special pick'ems plus that 100% deposit match and our rankings, promo code FLOCK. Just to show the screen, here are all my teams advancing to Best Ball Mania. You can scroll this. You can try to count that yourself. I'll count it real quick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31. If 31 teams out of 150 advancing to Best Ball Mania. So that is a 20% advance rate, almost 21% advance rate. The expected advance rate is about 16.6%. So much better than average. Not as good as we were last year, though. Now, let's move this over. GT says, your dog over under half a poops rest of the night. If the over hits, I will be an angry man. I'll tell you that much. John says, 12 team 4-2 PPR. We have Watson, Swift, James Cook, Kupp, Amari, Ferguson, Hollywood, Garrett Wilson. Any moves? Just traded Mixon, Cook for Swift. What are your thoughts? I think we probably sold a little bit too much. I think it would have been interesting to go and sell like James Cook himself with a tight end upgrade to get a better tight ends, or with the quarterback upgrade to get a better quarterback. I think it's a decent team, obviously, especially now that we have cut back. I think Mixon and James Cook for DeAndre Swift is probably just a little bit too much, especially as Damian Harris hits the IR. Now, Z-Plane says 12-team PPR 3-3. We have Allen, CMC, White, Moss, Chuba, Jefferson, Olave, Higgins, Palmer, Gabe Davis, Downs, Ingram. Thoughts on potential moves and who to flex, Moss or Davis? I think Davis is higher ceiling, Moss is higher floor. I probably go with Gabe Davis. That's a very strong team. I mean, to be honest with you. I mean, very well balanced as well. I don't necessarily think that we make any trades. I think the main thing we're doing is just sitting on our hands and waiting until we get Jefferson back in. Okay. Now, Adolfo coming out saying, what players to trade for Ramondre? This maybe is the first time that I've heard someone asking about trading for Ramondre Stevenson in quite some time, my friend. Have BBR where we have Lamar, Puka, Watson, Kamara, Zach Evans, Laporta, Addison. And then on the bench, we have Stafford, Samuel, Jamal, Pierce, and Khalil Herbert. I mean, this maybe is Javonte. If you could send like Javonte and Stafford in for Ramondre, that'd be nice. Zach Evans and Javonte, Pierce and Evans, Pierce and Herbert, Pierce and Stafford. Essentially two of those lesser pieces. Ultimately, I'm not super excited to go out there and trade for Ramondre Stevenson. I mean, this is a running back that is in a committee with Ezekiel Elliott in one of the worst offenses in the NFL. And it's been very inefficient from week to week perspective. Dave says, JSN or Lockett? Oh, we're definitely going to go Lockett here. Lockett this week. If you wanted to make an argument for JSN rest of season, you do that. You do that. Now, Finn, happy to see us, says, hope all is well, my man. I traded Madison and Addison for Jonathan Taylor. Beautiful trade. In a full BBR league, I don't know if I like it. You should. The team is Allen, Aaron Jones, Etienne, Diggs, London, Laporta, Taylor at the flex, Jefferson on the IR. I think it's a strong move. Once we make that move, though, especially if we have Jefferson on the IR, we probably don't necessarily have the depth to go out there and continue to make trades. We're probably just kind of chilling as is. But yeah, I mean, you should be pretty damn happy with how we stand for now. I mean, going and getting the best player, getting JT with an insane ceiling, I do think makes a lot of sense. Now, Michael says, pick a wide receiver 2 and a flex between JSN, Rice, Foreman, and Wandale. We're going to go Foreman for the flex. It's either going to be Rice or JSN for wide receiver 2 for us. If Metcalf misses, we're going to go JSN. If Metcalf plays, we're going to go ahead and we'll play Rashee Rice. Okay. Now, Jack coming out saying 10-team PPR where we have Brian Robinson, Swift, Kupp, Diggs, Devontae Adams, Andrews, Fields, Love, Kyler, Ridley, Spears, Javonte. I traded Gibbs and Puka for Javonte. What are your thoughts? Or Devontae Adams. Okay. I think it is a risky trade to make right now if Jahmyr Gibbs is on the verge of breaking out. If this is a 2 wide receiver, 1 flex, 10-team league, however, I think that we are going to be fine going ahead and making the play. So given the fact in that format, it's more about just going out there and selling the depth, getting the best player in the deal. And then I'd say one other thing is interesting having to sit here and roster 3 quarterbacks. Like, possibly we could go ahead and look to make him play at quarterback. I mean, these 2 QBs, though, in Fields, Kyler, obviously, are 2 good cuts. You need someone to play for right now, so it is an interesting spot. Nicholas, happy to see us, says, 10-team PBR, 1 quarterback, 1 flex. CMC, Kamara, Diggs, Waddle, Waller, Gibbs, Howell, and then on the bench we have Mixon, Flowers, Godwin, Spears, Elijah Mitchell, Stroud. I can trade Flowers and Mixon for Josh Allen. We'll be 5-2 home league. I'm commish and defending champ. Do I do it? Okay. It's a 10-team single flex league. We're starting Sam Howell currently. We have plenty of depth where Mixon and Flowers are on our bench. We still have Godwin as a viable option on our bench. I think I would do it, but I do want to put on the asterisks. I would prefer to try to sell, say, CJ Stroud and Joe Mixon, or CJ Stroud and Zay Flowers for Josh Allen than the combination of the wide receiver and running back, though. Robert says Amari, Hollywood, Brian Robinson of the flex. CMC/Mason or Brian Robinson. We're going to go the starting running back in San Fran, hoping it's CMC. And then for the flex, we're going to go Amari if it's a full PPR, Brian Robinson if it's a non-PPR. Finn says, from the chat above, we're 3-3 in a 12-team league. I have a problem taking only unders on Underdog. Just too appealing. Hope your night's going well, G. Appreciate you, my friend. And I mean, I'm sure that you've seen that is typically what I'm looking to do as well. Usually what I'm looking to do on Underdog is go through and take some lower thens. But yeah, going back to that deal, 12-team format, I mean, maybe depth's going to matter a little bit more, but we have a super strong team. So yeah, let's just go get the best player. Now, Dion coming out saying, I'm 2-4 currently in a 12-team full PBR league, where we have Mahomes, Etienne, Cook, Chase, Adams, Moore, Thomas. And then on the bench, we have Kirk, Connor, Jep Wilson, JSN, Mason, Elijah Mitchell, Zach Evans, Michael Mayer. Should we make any moves? 2-4, we're looking to go ahead and sell long-term upside for production right now. So if we could see if we can get any kind of value at all for James Conner, like sell James Conner and Logan Thomas and go get an actual viable tight end. Go sell James Conner and DJ Moore and go get a slight upgrade at wide receiver. That would be something we look to do, but obviously it is much, much easier said than done. Okay. Nick says 10-team, full BBR, single flex, 5-1. We have Hurts, Kamara, Aaron Jones, Kyron, Achane, Rashad, Spears, Hubbard, Ingram, Tyreek, Adams, Evans, Flowers. Any moves with Achane and Kyron on the IR? Thanks, Mason. Thank you, my man. It is a very boring thing to say, and it's something that we've said a lot, and I'm sure you're tired of hearing me say it. On these teams where we're 4-2, on these teams where we're 5-1, we don't really have, at least in my mind, another option but to go out there and to just kind of hold on to those injured guys and wait for their long-term upside, right? Because ultimately, if you are looking at these players, like, are we going to be able to sell Achane for a ton right now? Because what team would be looking to go out there and buy someone like Devon Achane? It would be a 5-1 team. It'd be a 4-2 team. It'd be a 6-0 team, you know? So if you're already that team, we're looking for that production for the fantasy football playoffs. So this guy already gives, like he has more value to you than most other players. We can't really make other 2-for-1 deals to get ready for the playoffs because we're kind of stuck waiting for those injured guys to get back in. So I think that's where we find ourselves, just waiting for those injury-riddled guys to come back, my friend. Amos says, who should we start? Moss, JT, Zach Evans, Jeff Wilson. I'm going to go with both Indy guys. I'm going to go Moss and JT enter in this match. Actually, no. We'll go Jeff Wilson over Zach Moss. We'll go JT and Jeff Wilson. Y'all spam the chat. Who would you rather start? Would you rather start Zach Moss or Jeff Wilson, with Wilson going up against Philly and Zach Moss going up against Indy? Please spam the live chat. Let me know what direction you are going in because I have no idea. Jeff or Moss? Jeff, Moss. Jeff. So it does look like it's split 50-50 in the live chat right now between Moss and Jeff. I don't know. I probably go ahead and let's just take the guy we've seen. Let's take Moss. Let's take the Indy running backs. It is scary to say it, though, with obviously them having just a horrendous matchup against Cleveland. But we are 1 like away from hitting 600 likes on this stream. If you have not done so already, ladies and gentlemen, go down there, drop a like on this stream. We've streamed for 2 hours, 176 days in a row. Subscribe to the channel if you play fantasy football. And if you wanted to check out any of those pick'ems over on Underdog Fantasy, you can find that link in the live chat, in the description, in the comment section. Promo code FLOCK, you're going to get a 100% deposit match, plus our rest of season fantasy football rankings and tiers. And now is the best time to get on Underdog because if you're new, tomorrow morning you'll be getting a Lamar Jackson special pick'em, more than less than half a total yard. And on top of that, they have a LeBron James site-wide special pick'em, more than less than half a total point for NBA tip-off. And because we had so many people use promo code FLOCK on Underdog, there's an Amon-Ra St. Brown special pick'em exclusive to code FLOCK users next week as well. Literally never seen anything like it. Please make sure you are taking advantage ASAP. Okay. Now, our next switch coming up from Jake says, Saquon, Javonte, Hollywood for A.J. Brown and Aaron Jones. Well, give me A.J. Brown over Saquon. Give me Aaron Jones over Javonte. I don't think Hollywood bridges the gap. So, yeah, we're going to go A.J. and Jones. Austin says, would you trade Adams and Kirk for Justin Jefferson? We have Keenan, Thielen, Pollard, Brian Robinson, and Ingram. If we have a winning record where we can think a little bit more long-term here, then yes, I do think that it makes a lot of sense for us to go out there and get Jefferson. Chief Reaver says, have BBR flex Smith or Moss. We're going to go Devonta Smith, want as many players in that game as we can possibly get, and the man did have 11 targets last week. Amos says, who should we start at the flex? Addison, DJ Moore, or Jackson Smith and Jigba? I think most people are going to tell you to go ahead and take DJ Moore. I honestly just kind of want to go ahead and play Jordan Addison. I think Addison is going to be in the better offense. I don't want to say he's a somewhat talent. He's a worse talent. We'll say he's a worse talent for now. But he's in a much better offense, even if it's the tougher matchup. Give me Addison. Mr. Dang says trade Zach Moss for Gibbs. Hell yes, give me Gibbs. We have Kamara, Henry, Montgomery. Which 3 receivers are we going to start? Between Amari, Adams, Hollywood, Pittman, and Evans. We're going to be going with Pittman, Adams, Adams, and then we'll go Evans. I want to tell you to go Amari. The issue is I don't necessarily know exactly how healthy you're going to have Deshaun Watson coming off the shoulder injury, you know? Charlie says, Hogan Morton's 12-team BBR, 3 wide receivers, 1 flex. Who should we start between those 2 slots? Dobbs, Jameson, Judy, and Najee. Thanks. Thank you, my friend. We will go with the 2 extremely disappointing players. We'll go with the 2 guys that are just, losing people their leagues, we're going to take Judy as well as Najee Harris. At least with Najee, we get some guaranteed touches, right? And then I just don't know if we can be excited about Dobbs with Christian Watson back in. With Watson in, I don't want anything to do with Dobbs. Chief Perp, Habit to see us says, 8-team full BBR double flex. We have Chase, Puka, Ridley, Watson, Nico, Etienne, Walker, Jacobs, Barkley, Swift, Montgomery, Aaron Jones. Getting an offer for Barkley for Waddle. Fair trade, or do we need more for Barkley? I'm good at running back. So with Barkley, completely understand why you would want to move off of him. I mean, this is a running back that is running behind one of the worst offensive lines in the NFL in a very bad offense that was dealing with an ankle injury earlier on where maybe you're concerned about injuries going forward. So I completely understand the thought process of wanting to get out of Saquon Barkley, but I would say we need more than just Jalen Waddle. And I like Waddle, right? But especially in an 8-team format where wide receiver depth is going to be incredibly easy to come by. And I would rather chase the upside with the 3-down RB in Saquon Barkley to see if he can overcome his matchup. His situation. I think we're going to go Barkley. Now, Shane says, Zay's my wide receiver 5. Should we trade him for Jerome Ford? Our running back 3 is Jalen Warren. What I would try to do instead is I'd try to take Zay Flowers and Jerome Ford and go out there and get a better running back than Jalen Warren. Zay and Warren and go get a better running back than Jerome Ford. That would be the primary thing that I'd be looking for. If you really wanted to make the play, you can with the Hunt injury. Now, Dino says, hey, Mason, Wan'Dale or Josh Downs? Ooh, happy BR. We need some boom. Already played Olave. Opponent has CMC and ETN. Thanks, brother. Love the channel. Appreciate you, my man. Olave did fine. Olave got you 13 points. Let me pull this up. What is the exact target volume we've seen from Wan'Dale Robinson? Obviously, it's such a good matchup. It's like a night and day difference where you have Wan'Dale going up against the easiest matchup for wide receivers with the Commanders, whereas you have Downs going up against one of the toughest defenses with Cleveland. Wan'Dale, 8 targets last week. Said 25 targets through 4 games. Let me look at implied team totals here. Okay. The Giants have an implied team total of 17.25 points. The Colts are at 18.75. I think I'm going to go Josh Downs. I drafted a lot of these guys in best ball, really hoping that they do well. I don't necessarily think that they are guaranteed things by anything, though. Abe says 12-team non-PBR. Hurts, AJ, Keenan, CMC, Jacobs, Hawkinson, Myers, Higgins. Would you trade AJ, Keenan, Jacobs for Hill, Ridley, Pollard, 6-0 right now? Okay. AJ to Hill, give me Hill. Keenan to Pollard, give me, close. Non-PBR, give me Pollard, to be honest with you. Full PBR, give me Keenan. Jacobs, Ridley, give me Jacobs. I think we're probably going to go with the Tyreek Hill side, take the best asset, especially in a non-PBR format. Like a lot of the value you've been getting from Jacobs. Jacobs and Keenan have been with just the raw reception volume. We're obviously in a non-PBR league that just matters less. Now, Travis coming out saying 1-5, 3-year, keep your team PBR. Stroud, Bijan, Kyron, James, Warren, Jeff, Thielen, Chase, Adrian Brown, Ridley, Palmer, Laporta. We got Chase for DK Ford. What are your thoughts and any traits? Should we keep trying or build for next year? So it's weird, right? It's like a pseudo dynasty, not a full dynasty. But if you're 1-5, then yes, especially once we get the Kyron Williams injury, it's like kicking you while you're down. I think you are better to roll over and just play for 2024 at that point. Ryan says, have BBR to start Laporta or Deontay at the flex. Tight end is Kelsey. I'm going to be going Deontay over Laporta. If you look at their underdog pick'ems as well, Laporta's at 40.5 receiving yards. Deontay's at 49. Bone says, pick 2, Downs, Rice, and Elijah Moore. I'm going to go Downs and Rice. Really don't want anything to do with Elijah Moore at this point. Now, Mo says, PBR, Javonte or Pittman. We'll go Pittman. And I 100% understand with the Browns matchup. And that's why it's a question in the first place. Big Body Bird says, trade Lamb for Rashad and Ridley. I'm 5-1. No, I think we want to keep the best player. I think we want to keep CeeDee Lamb here. Mason says, standard scoring. Should I start JT or Foreman? Thank you. Thank you, my friend. Oh, my gosh. Let me see the implied team total of what we have with the Bears. How bad is this going to be? They're at 17.5. Whereas you have the Colts just about a point ahead. You have JT splitting the backfield as well. Can y'all spam the chat? Who would you rather start? Would you rather start JT in a tough matchup against the Browns or Foreman with no Roshan and no Khalil Herbert? JT or Foreman? Okay. Yes. Apparently I'm too tired to even be asking this question. Looks like it is a JT relatively easily, which obviously is what our rankings say. I just wanted to make sure we're not losing our mind. Israel says, need to start 2. Moss, Deonta Foreman, and Rashee Rice. I'm going to go Foreman and Rashee Rice in a full PPR format. I'm going to go Foreman and Moss in a non-PPR league. Thomas says, Bijan and Lamb for Adams and Eckler. What are your thoughts? I spent all offseason drafting Bijan over Eckler with the Williams injury and with Eckler already through his bye. Give me Eckler over Bijan now. Adams versus Lamb. Is close. I think it is going to be up to you. I'm going to go Lamb. I think it's a very fair trade, and it is up to you. Keep in mind, though, you do already have Eckler through his bye. Now, Tin Knocker says trade Puka for Jerome Ford and Hopkins in a single flex league where we have Madison, Etienne, Collins, and Davis. If you're telling me that we really have no depth here, I'm fine. If you want to, I'm probably going to go ahead. I'm going to keep Puka. We've been saying to sell Ford since the Chubb injury. Lil Mo says, Will give me a PS5. Whoever Will is, Lil Mo wants a PS5. Whoever Will is. Cheap Burp says, what trade would be fair for Saquon? If you're wanting to sell Saquon for a wide receiver, I would for sure do it for St. Brown, for A.J. Brown, for Diggs, maybe for Adams. Just once you get down to that range of Waddle, I just don't think we can. Bone says also trade Eckler, Laporta, Purdy for Mahomes, Jamar, Ingram. We have Connor, Jefferson, Diggs, and no RB2. Eckler to Jamar, probably give me Eckler. Laporta to Ingram, give me Laporta. Purdy to Mahomes is a massive gap, though, where those other guys are close. So I think we will go ahead, and I think we're going to take Mahomes, Jamar, and Ingram. Now, Vexer says 12-team, single quarterback, 1 flex, 3-3. We have Gibbs, Cook, Hill, Olave, Ingram, JSN. And then on the bench, we have Montgomery, Judy, Moore, Nico, Johnston, Fournette, Should we start JSN and any traits? I would start DJ Moore over JSN, and I would say no trades with this team. I do think that it's about time, though, to go through and cut Leonard Fournette. I think we've kind of learned with Leonard Fournette not even being signed by this point that even if Leonard Fournette were to get signed, he's still probably not someone that's startable in fantasy. Now, Coop coming out saying 12-team PPR 4-2, where we have Lamar, Amon-Ra, Ridley, Swift, Hall, Andrews, Amari. And then on the bench, we have Pierce, McLaurin, Njoku, Deontay Spears. What are we doing with Ridley? Do we just write it out with them now that I'll be 4-3? Opponent has Kamara. Brutal to play. I mean, Thursday, playing Ridley and watching our opponent have Kamara, that must have just been one hell of a night for you, my man. But we really have no other option, right? What are your options with Calvin Ridley if you already have him? You could, one, sell him, or you could, two, go out there and cut him. Would I opt to cut Calvin Ridley in a 12-team league? Hell no, we're not doing that, right? There's no way in hell we can do it. Can we sell him? Good luck finding someone who's going to buy him. And I'm saying this as someone who drafted like literally zero Calvin Ridley this year. Drafted over 400 teams. We took Calvin Ridley in 2% of them. So as someone who doesn't really have Calvin Ridley anywhere, I think we're not very biased in saying this. I don't think you can sell at this point. I think it's too late. I think you honestly just kind of have to chill. I think you have to be sitting on your hands and hoping that something changes. Now, Bruce Gaiman says 14-team PPR single flex. 4-2. We have Burrow, Jacobs, Eckler, Kupp, DK, Pickens, Waller, Freiermuth, Najee, Bourne, Foreman. Should we sit tight or trade Pickens for Devonta Smith? I would love to trade Pickens for Smith. I think you have Smith as a better receiver. I think you have Smith in a better offense. And now that you have Deontay Johnson coming back into Pittsburgh as well, I mean, you do have a considerable amount of target competition in Pittsburgh there for George Pickens. Amos says, pick one, Judy, Osborne, Jason, Najee, and Elijah Mitchell. I think we probably go Najee Harris, even though it is disgusting. Even though nobody wants to do it, you probably have to. Verk says, my other quarterback is Love. Yeah, if you have Love, I assume that. Like, Love's in the range where he's a streaming quarterback, so it's as if you have no QB. Solly says, trade Puka for CeeDee Lamb. Is this the W? Hell yes, that is the W, my friend. That is for sure. RM says, Gabe Davis, JSN, or Curtis Samuel in the flex. If we have no Metcalf, completely fine saying JSN. If Metcalf were to play, then I think we have to take Gabe Davis. Hospital Mike says, couldn't grab Evans, Henderson, Gaskin, or Freeman. If we have an open spot down there on the bench, I probably would opt to pick up Darrell Henderson. Obviously, not playing him this week. Not playing any of these running backs this week. I think they're all worth stashing. They're all worth benching because if one of them shows us something, then we could start him the next week. Fun guy coming out says, start Jeff Wilson or Zach Moss. I can't decide. We actually just asked this question in the live chat, my friend, and it looked like overwhelmingly people were going through and taking Zach Moss. They were taking Moss. Okay. Now that boy OD says, traded Jefferson, London, Flowers for Puka, Walker. What are your thoughts? Give me Walker over Jefferson if you need production right now. Flowers, Puka, kind of going to be up to you there. I would probably go Puka. And yeah, London isn't really going to make a difference. I think it's going to depend on your team. If you're 5-1 and we're thinking long-term upside, I think we're going to go ahead. We're going to take Justin Jefferson. If you're 1-5 and need points right now, let's go get Kenneth Walker. My God, ladies and gentlemen, Utah just beat USC. Great quarterback scramble. Picks up 20 yards to put him in field goal range. Oh, God. Poor Caleb Williams. Boone says, flex Ford or Myers, full BBR. I'm already starting Devontae Adams. I think we're going to go Jerome Ford, especially with the Kareem Hunt and Jimmy Garoppolo injuries. Mel Bailey says, week 8 DST. Bills versus the Bucks or Miami versus New England. Hit the like button. Hit that like button. Listen to Mel. I think we are going to go ahead and take the Bills versus the Bucks. The reason being is I think the Bills have a much better defense overall, where we could look to go through and start them this week as well. So we can start the Bills this week against New England and then start them next week at the same time. Okay. Vexter says start JSN, Elijah Moore, or Jerry Jeudy. Rough options, I know. I think if we have DK Metcalf playing, we're sadly going to have to go Jerry Jeudy, even though I don't want to tell anybody to do that. And then if we have no DK Metcalf, we're going to go JSN. Under no circumstance am I wanting to start Elijah Moore, though. Lance says 1-5 in a 10-team BBR. We have Adams, Olave, Godwin, Watson, Rice. Achane, Herbert, Hunt, Jaleel. Stafford, Lawrence, Kelsey. Any trades? 1-5, we're thinking about points in this lineup right now. So I am very sorry to say this, my friend, but you have to take your running backs in Devon Achane and Khalil Herbert and sacrifice any long-term upside that you have with these guys and get points in this lineup right now. I don't think you really have an option. I think you need points in here ASAP. Okay. Mason says, thanks for answering my last question. Traded CD and Ramondre for Adams, Mixon, Evans. 4-2. Great move. Give me Mixon over Ramondre. Give me Devontae over Lamb. We get 2 upgrades there, and we get Mike Evans for free. It's going to be an absolute no-brainer, my friend. Now, real quick, if you have not done so already, looks like less than 10% of y'all have hit that like button. Go down there, drop a like on this live stream, ladies and gentlemen. Subscribe to the channel if you play fantasy football. And of course, if you wanted to check out any of these pick'ems over on Underdog Fantasy, you can find that link in the live chat, in the description, in the comment section. Promo code FLOCK, you're going to get a 100% deposit match, plus our rest of season fantasy football rankings and tiers. And on top of that, ladies and gentlemen, now's the best time to get on Underdog, because if you're new, you're going to be getting a Lamar Jackson special pick'em, more than less than half a total yard. And there's a site-wide special, LeBron James, more than less than half a total point for NBA tip-off. And because so many people used promo code FLOCK on Underdog last week, we're able to get y'all in a Amon-Ra St. Brown special pick'em next week, more than less than half a total yard. So please make sure you take advantage of all that while you still can. Only going to get all 3 with code FLOCK. Now, Jerry coming out saying, who to start at the flex? Right now we have Javonte. We also have Sutton, Palmer, Jameson on the bench. Full BBR format, I may go Palmer over Javonte. But the waiver wire has Deonta Foreman. So honestly, I think we go ahead and cut maybe Cortland Sutton, cut Jameson Williams, cut one of those guys. Go get Deonta Foreman off waivers. I think Deonta Foreman would be an easy flex play over someone like Javonte, over someone like Joshua Palmer this week. Just considering the fact that you have no Khalil Herbert, you have no Roschon. So ultimately, at the end of the day, he is going to get literally every single touch in this backfield. Now, Will Cause says 10-team BBR 4-2. We have Allen, Etienne, Brian Robinson, Gibbs, Hill, Watson, Lamb, Judy, Waller, Kincaid. Traded Watson, Brian Robinson for Puka, Kyren Williams. What are your thoughts? 4-2, we can afford to think a little bit more long-term here, which is why we see the Kyren Williams trade in the first place. Now, I will say going from Brian Robinson to Kyren Williams, kind of up to you with what you want to be doing on that front. Christian Watson to Puka, give me Puka, even though I am a Christian Watson fan. So, yeah, I'm fine. If you wanted to go out there and if you wanted to make this move, I think you can go out there and get Puka and Kyren Williams. Now, Nicholas says 12-team BBR, flex DJ Moore, Rice, or Joshua Palmer, where we have Justin Herbert. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to take DJ Moore. I mean, DJ Moore was that sell-high guy for us last week. In reality, though, just because Justin Fields is gone, I don't necessarily think that this passing offense gets significantly worse. I think the passing volume remains roughly the same. So yeah, I think we're going to go ahead. I think that we are going to probably just say, like, at least in that range. Like, I like the upside of Rashee Rice. Just the man's running like 40% of the routes in KC right now. That number gets up to 70%, 80%, then I think I'll be fine saying to go ahead and start him. Now, Virtual Tag coming out saying, have CMC Pacheco pick up Jordan Mason or A.J. Dillon. I would go ahead. I would pick up Jordan Mason if we have CMC. That way, it's just a very easy spot for us to go ahead and say, oh, okay, yeah, we'll just play whoever's available. I mean, if Jordan Mason's good to go, if CMC's good to go, we'll play CMC. If not, we can always pivot over to Jordan Mason. But yeah, I mean, really just stress-free if we decide to go down that road. Anthony says Seahawks or Packers defense. We're going to go with the Seahawks defense as 8-point favorites. Or do we keep the Lions? We have Lamar. The Lions are 3-point dogs. I mean, I think we would definitely rather have the Seahawks this week if you wanted to keep the Lions on your roster. Let me see who the Lions play next week compared to who the Seahawks play next week. Sadly, I do not have the Week 8 matchups memorized. Actually, I know the Lions play Denver. I will say that. I know that one. So maybe you want to keep the Lions on your bench for next week. Let me just double check that. No, I lied to you. The Lions do not play Denver. The Lions are on bye next week, which is very interesting. Okay. So next week we'll have the Seahawks playing the Browns. The Lions will play the Raiders next week. I apologize. So you probably would prefer the Lions next week. Definitely the Seahawks this week, though. Okay. Now, Belly says 12-team full PPR 4-2. We have Fields, Love, Diggs, Amon-Ra, Pittman, Lockett, Robinson, Pacheco, Jones, Kyron, Waller, Laporta. Just traded Flowers for Laporta. What do you think? And any recommendations on the lineup from here? We're going to be starting Love, Diggs, Amon-Ra, Pacheco, Aaron Jones. And then for the flex, full PPR league, we'll go Pittman. Great team. The only thing I'd say is if you really wanted to see if we could go out there and possibly send like Darren Waller and Tyler Lockett and go get a wide receiver upgrade now, or Darren Waller and Pacheco and go get, or Darren Waller, Brian Robinson and go get a running back upgrade. We could look to do that as well. Give more. Always happy to see you. 10-team full BBR league, 4-2. And we have Hurts, CMC, Bijan, Etienne, Waddle, Puka. And then on the bench, we have Barkley, Jefferson, Watson, Hubbard, Evans, Mason. Roll the dice on CMC or use Barkley, Bijan for the guaranteed points. Appreciate you, sir. Appreciate you, my man. You're fortunate enough where we don't have to roll the dice, where I think we plan on going Barkley and Bijan at RB1, RB2. And then what we could look to do is we could look to go ahead and plan on CMC, put CMC at the flex. I believe Puka plays later in the day, right? Yeah, Puka's going to play at 3. So we'll get some extra time and hope that we get the news regarding CMC and see if he's going to be cleared. I feel like the NFL's been better as of late, kind of thinking about fantasy football here and giving us those Monday night updates early on. At least, maybe I'm losing my mind, but I feel like they have been. So maybe there's an outside chance they tell us what's going to happen with CMC tomorrow, at least at the beginning of the day or during the games. And then we'll have the better clarity to go Puka or CMC for the flex. But I think we plan on the other two running backs in the starting lineup. We move CMC to the flex, and then really think about that as we approach the 3 p.m. slate. And hopefully we get some more news coming out. Okay. Now that's Tito says Love or Stafford. Probably going to go Stafford with Kupp and Puka good to go. But obviously Love does have a very good matchup. Okay. Aaron says 12-team, 3 wide receiver double flex, PPR 4 and 2. Trade Herbert, Etienne, Hall, Madison, Singletary, Chase, Wilson, Amari, Ridley, Addison, JSN, Michael Wilson, Mims, Logan Thomas, Michael Mayer. Any moves? Trying to think if there are any trades that make sense. It's a league where we're incentivized to build around wide receiver depth and punt tight end, which is exactly what we've done. So I actually really like where we stand currently here, my friend, with Chase, Wilson, Amari, Ridley, Addison, and then hopefully JSN long-term as playable wide receivers. I think you've done a great job building this team specifically for the format in which it's a full PBR league where we can start at the 5 wide receivers on a week-to-week perspective. Now, TJ says, would you rather have T. Higgins or DJ Moore rest of season? Let me go ahead and pull up flockfantasy.com. I'll tell you exactly where we have these guys ranked, my friend. I have Moore, and I'm considering buying low on Higgins, as well as Devonta Smith, Waddle. I'll tell you where we have all of these guys. All of these guys. Okay. Sorry, got a little sidetracked. We had a new article posted on flockfantasy.com. I was seeing what it was about. Okay. So I currently have Waddle ranked as my wide receiver 12 rest of season. I have Devonta Smith, wide receiver 13. I have DJ Moore, wide receiver 21, and T. Higgins, wide receiver 23. Just to give you an idea of where we have those guys. Sorry for getting sidetracked. Wanted to see what that article was. Noise says 10-team full BBR, 1 quarterback, 1 flex. I got offered Pittman, Kareem Hunt for Jahmyr Gibbs and Jacoby Myers. We already have Saquon and Swift for my backs, and Zay Flowers and Amon-Ra St. Brown. Myers to Hunt. Give me Myers, Gibbs to Pittman. 10-team league, single flex. I think I may actually see... I may actually see Gibbs as someone with more upside rest of season. Specifically for this format. Because the thing is, the wide receiver depth is always going to be so easy to come by in a 10-team league with 1 flex, right? So a 10-team league with 1 flex. I may just go with the best running back, and I hate to say it. Now, Dan says 10-team PPR 3 and 3. We have Allen, Pacheco, Moss, Mixon, Achane, Hill, Puka, Ayuk, Nico, Rice, tight end Laporta, any trades, thinking about overpaying for Eckler. I'd love to overpay for Eckler in this league. If you can sell Brandon Ayuk and literally any running back on this team, if you could back together any wide receiver with any running back on this team and go get Eckler, I'm all about it. All about it if we can do that. And yeah, 10-team format, typically it's going to be the trade I'm looking to make. Really do like how we're structured, focusing on running back, wide receiver upside down there on the bench, while at the same time we have the elite quarterback and the elite tight end. Now, Lettismuck says 12-team PPR 2 and 4, single flex. We have Purdy, Etienne, Jacobs, Eckler, Jacoby, Michael Thomas, Kittle, Jefferson on the bench, Should we trade Jefferson for Lamb and Pittman? And any other recommendations? I would say yes. If you were 2-4, let's sell Jefferson for CeeDee Lamb and Michael Pittman. And then at that point, if we could turn around and see if we could package together, say, Pittman and Brock Purdy together and go get a quarterback in like the Tua or the Lamar range, I think that would be very interesting as well. Joshua says 12-team PPR where we have Allen, Jacobs, Eckler, A.J. Brown, Amon-Ra, Mark Andrews, Ayuk, Tucker, the Browns defense. And then on the bench, Smith, Mixon, Tajee, Sam Howell, Dell, Akers. Any advice? I think you can go ahead and cut Sam Howell if you have Josh Allen and just use that roster spot on a running back that has upside, maybe someone like Darrell Henderson, and see what happens in Los Angeles. Outside of that, I think it's a very well-balanced roster and love the team specifically at the very top end where we have the elite quarterback, we have the elite tight end, we have the great running backs and receivers. Phenomenal team. I'll just probably be cutting someone like Sam Howell where not much is going to change his value and go in and try to find like the next Kyren Williams, right? Now, Daniel says trade Laporta, Waddle, Kyren for Travis Kelce, Smith, and Henry. So Waddle to Smith, lateral move. Laporta to Kelce, big time upgrade. Kyren to Derrick Henry, big time upgrade. So hell yes, we are going to go ahead and do it. Let's go get Kelce, Smith, and Derrick Henry here. 10-team PPR, we're 4-2 right now. We have Chase, Keenan, Puka, Etienne, and James Conner. Yeah, then we go ahead and make this move. I mean, you have a great team here. Great team. RM says 10-team PPR 4-2. Trade Dameon Pierce for Calvin Ridley. Can everybody spam the chat? Who would you rather have? Would you rather have Dameon Pierce or Calvin Ridley? Dameon Pierce or Calvin Ridley. Please help out RM. He's out here all the time with us. Ridley, neither. Ridley, Pierce, Ridley. Okay, it looks like, yeah, everybody's telling you to go get Calvin Ridley there, my friend. Rusty says, hey, Mason, need help picking one flex. We have Gibbs, Jeff Wilson Jr., Henderson, Downs, Ford, Deontay. My starters are Eckler, Bijan, Pittman, Watson. Thank you. No, thank you, my man. I think when we have Craig Reynolds banged up, when we have no David Montgomery, probably going to be in a spot where we need to go ahead and honestly, we just need to be selling. I'm sorry, not selling. We just need to be starting Jahmyr Gibbs. Like Gibbs will just get consistent work here. And if he is going to get the consistent work, let's just put him in. Now, Mingle says 12-team full BBR, where we have Purdy, Hunt, Mitchell, Amari, Ayuk, Kittle. So we swap in Laporta. If you look at Underdog Pick'ems right now, they actually do have George Kittle as a better option over Sam Laporta with the CMC and Brandon Ayuk respective injuries. I would still probably go with Sam Laporta. I'd probably ignore the Underdog Pick'ems on that one and go with the tight end that we've had the more consistent workload from or volume with. Can you all spam the chat? Who would you rather start? Would you rather start Sam Laporta or George Kittle? And real quick, if you have not done so already, hit that like button, ladies and gentlemen. Subscribe to the channel if you play fantasy football. And of course, if you wanted to check out any of those pick'ems over on Underdog Fantasy, you can find that link in the live chat, in the description, in the comment section. Promo code FLOCK, going to get a 100% deposit match. plus our rest of season fantasy football rankings and tiers. And on top of that, now is the best time to get on Underdog Fantasy because they have a Lamar Jackson special pick'em. If you are new to Underdog, more than less than half a total yard for tomorrow morning, and a site-wide LeBron James special pick'em, more than less than half a total point. And only with promo code FLOCK are you also going to be getting an Amon-Ra St. Brown special pick'em for next week. 3 special. Take advantage. Nothing like this ever happens, so please make sure you are getting it while it does. Looks like it's actually split in the chat. Kittle, Laporta. I don't know. I'd say maybe like non-PBR format, you go Kittle for the touchdown upside and the big play potential. Maybe full PBR league, you go Laporta for some more guaranteed volume based off what we've seen. Ethan says traded Jacobs, Hawkinson, Jefferson for Walker and Chase. Give me Walker over Jacobs. Give me Chase over Jefferson. So we essentially just paid Hawkinson to get it done. Miami just beat Clemson. Clemson got it down to the 1 yard line, double overtime. They had 4 downs to punch it in, and Miami stopped them every single play. Oh, nice. But nonetheless, you're saying regular season winner pays out and currently 1 game back in second points for. Then yeah, so for sure, in that case, yeah, we don't necessarily need to just be thinking about long-term upside for the fantasy football playoffs. We'll be thinking about getting some points in here right now. So yeah, we would go ahead and I would take Kenneth Walker and Jamar Chase in that instance to make sure we still stay in the mix for trying to win this right now. But I think we're probably going to cut the live stream here, ladies and gentlemen, because I need to wake up in probably about 7 hours. That way we can start live streaming as early as possible tomorrow morning. So yeah, if you're not already, make sure you are subscribed to the channel. That way you can come ask all your questions tomorrow morning. We'll be live every single day until 2024, of course. We'll be giving out more injury updates tomorrow morning as well. And like I said, now's the best time to go over there and sign up for Underdog. Get our rankings, get a 100% deposit match, and get those 3 special pick'ems, the Amon-Ra St. Brown, the Lamar Jackson, and the LeBron James, all more than less than half a yard or a point based off their respective sports. Some of my favorite Underdog pick'ems right now. I actually do kind of like the Keontae Ingram for fewer than 10 carries. And then later on, one of the ones that I like to do, can we find one? I actually like, and I know y'all are not, the Jordan Addison 2x multiplier to score a touchdown. And Kyle says, need a running back this week due to injuries and buys. Options are Javonte, Latavius, Evans, Just Hill, Keontae. We're going to go with Javonte, even though it is gross. But thank you again. I really do appreciate you, ladies and gentlemen. I really hope I get to see you out in the live stream tomorrow morning. And if I don't, really hope that you're able to crush your matchups this week and you have a great weekend.